Hello and welcome to the Super Basement Bro Show. My name is Connor and I'm joined by my co-hosts Tanner and Hasten.
Hello!
Hey!
Guys, so we just saw Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker Episode 9, the final movie in the Skywalker Saga.
Yes, we did.
And we're here to share all of our thoughts, opinions, and impressions of the movie itself. And to give you guys a warning up front, we will not be talking spoilers for a few minutes. Our opening discussion will be purely non-spoiler based. It'll just be like general thoughts. And then we will give a very specific warning when we transition into spoilers for the movie. So you don't have to worry about getting anything spoiled if you just enjoy these first few minutes. And then you can come back once you've seen the movie and listen to all of our spoiler-filled thoughts. So let's go ahead and start off with just an impression-based discussion here. What is your guys' initial impressions and thoughts of the final episode in the Skywalker Saga?
I think Haitian has to go first.
My thoughts are like a meh. It was a good movie all around, but I didn't like where they went with the stories. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to talk too much without going into spoilers.
Yeah.
For certain things. I really liked it. I really liked where they went with some of the stories, kind of in the opposite way of Hasten. There was a couple things that I think maybe could have been handled a little differently, but ultimately I enjoyed the story, I enjoyed the ride, and I think it was a fitting conclusion for the Skywalkers, or that whole saga. So, Tanner, what about you?
I almost completely agree with you. I think that, of course, there's some things in the movies, but like no movie's perfect. You know, even people love the first Star Wars of the series, The Force Awakens, but there's obviously those things in the movie that, you know, you may not like. But ultimately, I loved this one. I actually think it's my personal favorite Star Wars movie.
Period.
Probably tied with, like, Phantom Menace, Force Awakens. Like, so, and I loved it. Like, I want to see it right now, again.
I want to see it again right now, too.
Like, and I have a very strong opinion about why I love it. So, and we'll get to that later.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things that we can't really go into without spoiling anything. We don't want to spoil anything for you guys. But
you can actually watch us.
I recommend for me, I would recommend obviously seeing this movie if you enjoy Star Wars at all. Like I would recommend this movie. What about you guys? Like, do you think
I think it's a good popcorn kind of movie, like
popcorn flick? Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a lot of cool scenes, like
Oh yeah,
amazing. Like a lot of the
Visuals.
stuff they did, visuals and everything was amazing.
Yeah.
The quality of the visuals and everything has not changed. If you've ever enjoyed the Star Wars or Marvel movies or anything with like that Disney makes where it's amazing production value, you'll love this. As far as like, you know, just going and watching an awesome movie with cool effects and everything. So,
Hasten, as someone who didn't necessarily love this movie, would you still recommend people see it in theaters, or would you say wait for like rental
I think it
service
depends on like how they feel. Like if they're a Star Wars fan, yeah, you need to go see it.
Yeah,
obviously.
you have to. Yeah.
But like I don't know, like I feel like if you haven't seen The Last Jedi or seen The Force Awakens, like no, you can
Just wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that too. I think purely from a spectacle level, though, and an event level, that it's worth seeing in theaters. Just because if you want to be part of the cultural discussion that's going to be going on, like when Endgame came out, or you know any of the most recent blockbusters, there's always like that opening week or so that is just full of pop culture discussion and everything. If you want to be part of that, you have to check this out because spoilers will be out there within. Soon. Like
they're out there right now.
Yeah, you want to see this as soon as you can so you don't get it spoiled.
You're going to get it spoiled for you on Twitter if you open it up.
There are some definite things that they could spoil for you in this movie.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, as with every Star Wars movie. So, recommend checking it out as soon as you can, but overall, I definitely recommend seeing it in theaters, especially if you're a Star Wars fan.
I want to get into spoilers right now,
let's,
dude.
Let's go ahead and do it then. So,
really?
Yeah, I mean, unless there's any other base level thoughts you want to talk about.
Okay, yeah, once you jump in, I want to say something right away, because what you just said.
Okay, but we got to make sure we give plenty of time then for the audience
Of course.
to back out if they don't want any spoiler thoughts. So if you're listening to this, we are going to transition into a complete spoiler cast for episode 9. No limits. All bets are off. So if you don't want to hear anything related to what happens in The Rise of Skywalker, right now is your time to click away. We're going to give you a few seconds. We're going to give you some time. I'll give another warning right before we start into spoilers. So this is us stalling to give you some time to get out before The
They should be
spoilers come
gone
into
by
play.
now.
Go away. I think
So, but come back and enjoy it once
Once
you
you go see
once
it.
you've seen the movie. Yeah, for sure.
that's one of my favorite things to do is go to a movie and then go to
Go back
my
to the
favorite
spoilers.
creators and watch
Watch what they say.
Watch
Me too.
whatever they say.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. I think
Yeah.
that a lot of people enjoy that. So do that with us. Are we your guys' favorite creators?
The 5 people that watch us.
Yeah, our 5 viewers. Anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and transition into spoilers. So all bets are off now. Last warning, it's spoiler time. All right. So
right away.
spoilers. What did you guys think of The Rise of Skywalker?
Right away, real quick. You said something very prominent that I've been wanting to bring up. Okay.
Rey's Palpatine's daughter.
Yes. Granddaughter. You said,
Just had to get that off my chest.
this movie, there's definitely things to spoil. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That proves my point right there. That this movie is not safe. Because if this was a safe movie,
Well,
there
here,
would be nothing to spoil.
I think you're getting a little too specific for off the bat. So let's
I know,
let's
it's
go,
just-
let's go a bit more broad with the spoilers here, and then we'll narrow it down to more of the the nitty gritty stuff because that's very specific. So going general off of the spoilers and stuff, Hasten, one of the main reasons why you didn't like this movie, based on our short discussion we had after the movie, is that you felt it was very predictable and very safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So kind of elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, I don't know. Like, I don't know when they announced Force healing, like that really bugged me because I knew like nothing was ever going to be safe. Like they were just going to reverse every decision they had, and then they were going to like, and also like you said before the movie, like there's Palpatine, and immediately he's got to be connected to Rey somehow.
Yeah.
Like for me, I knew from the beginning like Palpatine's related to Rey in some way.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but in some way.
I agree with you that a lot of it was predictable, and I think that was almost by design in nature in some ways, because the thing is ever since The Force Awakens first came out, even before The Force Awakens came out, when we just knew like the names of the characters, they announced Rey as the main character, and everyone was like, what's her last name? Why aren't they revealing her last name? So from the beginning, everyone has always been like, who is she? Who is her parent? Who are her parents? Who are her grandparents? Whatever it is, there was a lot of theories that it was Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon Jinn, that she was a clone, that, there were so many theories. Heck, it got to the point where people were wondering if Mace Windu was somehow her freaking grandparent. Like, it was all over the place. Like, the discussion was insane to where...
Yeah, it's so different in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, so it's like... I think it's an interesting situation with this because once the Rise of Skywalker first trailer came out, we heard Palpatine's laugh at the end. We knew the Emperor was coming back. The minute that happened, I think a lot of people started theorizing, is she related to Palpatine?
One thing I think we can all agree on isn't Palpatine such a great...
Oh my gosh. Villain?
And Ian McDiarmid,
He's-
oh my gosh.
He's the ultimate bad guy.
He's amazing. Like, he got to the point in this movie where he's like, this dude's so evil. Like, he's the
yeah.
most evil person
Murdered his own kids.
Okay,
ever.
He's awesome.
Darker than Darth Vader ever was.
Oh, by far. Like not
easy.
even close.
It's crazy.
It's so cool.
Like, he
too,
had
and
no remorse for his granddaughter whatsoever. Like, he didn't even consider...
I was
It's
actually...
like, kill me so you can take over.
Yeah.
Kill me so I can basically still rule through you.
rule through you. And
'Cause you're more
the
powerful.
fact
And
that
if
he
you
killed
don't do
his own
that,
son
I'm just
or
going
daughter.
to steal the souls from you guys.
Yeah.
Like, that was cool.
That was
Well,
super cool.
The fact that he is broken up, he has, like, missing
He was like a
fingers
zombie.
And,
He was
and
a
he's
zombie
blind and he's
serious.
zombified, but he's attached to that freaking
That
robotic
robot
arm that
that
like
was cool.
moves him around. It was
I
terrifying.
liked when he
Oh my
regained his power,
gosh.
though, and we got to see the
And his
classic
red eyes,
Sidious.
and he's like...
I was going to actually
Oh
ask you
my
guys your
gosh.
thoughts on Sidious in general, because when they first announced that Sidious was going to be in Rise of Skywalker, I was cautiously optimistic about it. I was a little worried, because I was like, that seems like really weird, like he died. Ultimately, though, I am so glad he was back, because he, in a lot of ways, I think, made this movie in terms of being, like, the ultimate bad guy. Like, if the Emperor wasn't in this, who was going to be the main bad guy? Like,
Kylo Ren's not strong enough as a bad guy. to be
No,
the
no,
bad
and
guy.
he's always struggled with the light and dark thing, to where it's like, who would they have fought? Like, it worked so well to have the ultimate final bad guy be the Emperor. Like, that makes the most sense.
Well,
He's
then
been
to
there from
learn
the
that
beginning.
Snoke was literally
Was
a
a puppet of the Emperor.
that we
We thought that, yeah, we a lot of
figured
people
that.
predicted that.
which is cool, and you got to see how he had all the little.
Oh,
he was
he's
like
literally
growing
like
them.
in
Like a
Snoke was
tank?
in a tank.
Like a tank,
Yeah.
like two of them. There was
Two
two
of them.
Snokes in a tank.
Yeah, so, like, he was just literally a puppet that Sidious was talking through. Like, Palpatine was using, which is really cool. Like, I think that was
does
something-
explain through Last Jedi, like hey, this is why Sidious was so weak.
Yeah, exactly.
This is why he couldn't sense it.
Like, see, and that was a big thing in The Last Jedi that, was heavily criticized. I loved it. I loved that Snoke died in The Last Jedi, but a lot of people hated it because they were like, how it doesn't make sense that his power, like, he's supposed to be super strong and then Kylo Ren just killed him. So that does give an answer for that as to why it was because it was all manipulated by Palpatine. Like,
and he couldn't yet
he
reveal
wanted
himself.
that to happen. Like,
he couldn't reveal himself yet. He wanted Rey to get powerful enough, then struggle with the dark side a little bit, then reveal himself.
It's literally exactly what he did with Anakin. He knew he wanted Anakin as his apprentice one day. He let him build up the hate and anger.
Well, he knew
and
that
Rey,
Anakin would be
it
more
was cool
powerful
because Rey was literally juxtaposing what Anakin did in the sense that back in the prequels, Anakin succumbed to the Palpatine. He did exactly what happened with Rey, but actually succumbed to him. And versus Rey stood up and defied him, which was cool. Like, it was cool to see that kind of
Rey was ultimately that ultimate chosen one. That was supposed to be the chosen one.
Mm-hmm. Like, I thought that was a really cool, like, juxtaposition between those two characters. But yeah, going forward with some more spoilers, like, how do you guys feel about the whole arc of Kylo Ren in this movie? Because I know a lot of people, it was a big, heavy debate, like, is he too far gone? Can he become good again? And ultimately, as we saw in the movie, he becomes good. And I personally loved that. I was glad they went that direction.
It's something we figured. We talked about it. We theorized about that multiple times.
And I know this is probably something that Hasten thought was maybe a little too predictable, and I agree that it probably was a little predictable.
I think they purposely did that.
Well, you can tell, like, the first time Rey and Kylo meet, when Kylo's like, you can tell from right then he's not going to kill Rey.
Yeah,
like,
he doesn't want it.
He needs Rey to do anything.
Granted, though, we knew that from Rise of Skywalker.
You mean Last Jedi?
Last Jedi is this one.
No,
Rise of Skywalker, the last movie.
No, Last Jedi is the last one.
Jedi.
This is the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Oh. Wait, what? Oh, duh, yeah.
Danner's showing his true Star Wars fan.
I'm dumb.
Sorry, we shouldn't have had him on this podcast.
Sorry. No, yeah, like, in the last movie, literally, we already knew that Kylo had a good relationship with Rey. Like, we already knew that they were close. Somehow, they had the connection where they could see each other.
But that was all manipulated by Snoke, or as we know it now, Palpatine.
No.
Yes,
because they still had that even when Palpatine was remember, they had that personality where they could see each other without being in the same
That was because of Palpatine, though. I literally just watched The Last Jedi again today, and Snoke says at the end, he's like, who do you think was the one making it to where you guys could see each other?
What I mean, though, is, like, they obviously have a connection.
Oh, no, for sure. 100%.
Kylo has extended his arm out to Rey multiple times.
Yeah.
He's not killed her, like, 7 times. He didn't kill her, like, 3 times in Last Jedi. And then in this one, once again, obviously we see it. So that was, like...
Another 3 times.
That is true that it was obvious, but it was supposed to be obvious. I think that was one of the things that they were kind of implying.
I actually
he's not going to kill her.
think it was as obvious as we make it out to be, because rewatching The Last Jedi again today, they end the movie with Kylo and Rey on very bad terms. Like, there's the scene that I love in The Last Jedi where Kylo reaches his hand out to Rey and he's like, join me, and then he does that, like, please, and he's like struggling to say please, and then, like, the ship gets shot and blown up, and then next thing you know, like, we don't get to see exactly how that all finishes out, and then, like, they're on bad terms at the end of that movie, to where I was like, maybe they are going to go the direction where he isn't unredeemable, especially with the way Leia and Han, I've talked about him, because in Force Awakens, like, Han's all the time like, he's too far gone, it's not going to happen, and even Luke or Leia in Last Jedi were saying the same thing, like, he's too far gone, like, we can't do anything. So I was like, maybe they're not going to bring him to the light. I don't know.
Kylo wasn't dark enough to be Sith.
He wasn't.
You knew that. Like,
the conflict.
Even though he killed his dad, literally.
Yeah.
Like, he just wasn't... It wasn't there.
He's basically a weaker version of Darth Vader. Or Anakin.
A lot
because
weaker.
Anakin was the same as Kylo, where he still had the light in him. But Anakin succumbed to the darkness for so long, he lost who he was. And then he eventually did what Kylo did and finally remembered who he was, and then...
Well, yeah, with Darth Vader...
Kylo never fully succumbed.
Anakin, fully succumbed to the dark side.
He became a monster,
and he
was
murdered
Darth
children. He murdered children in Revenge of the Sith.
Especially, like, if I don't know if you've been...
So did Kylo.
Yeah, but so did Kylo, but in this...
Kylo murdered 11 other
Planets.
children.
Well, in planets, yeah, exactly.
When they said
but-
that he was murdering children in this one.
In Last Jedi, they have a flashback, and he kills the whole.
Yeah, he
temple
kills
that
all.
Luke was training.
He does kill the
He
temple.
trains.
But the
everyone
thing
there.
is with Kylo, though, as we've been pointing out, he has had that conflict the entire time. There's the scene in The Last Jedi that I love where he's aiming his blasters in his TIE fighter at Leia in the ship, and it's doing the cross dissolve between him and her, and he can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
He removes his thumb from the trigger. So he could kill his dad, but he couldn't kill his mom. He couldn't bring himself to kill his own mom. That right there
When
proves
it haunts him that he
was-
killed his dad in the first place.
Yeah, and so that proves right there, it's like he has light in him. He can't do the most evil thing, like killing his own mom. It ends up being his TIE fighters next to him that shoot the ship, and then we get the bad scene of Leia flying back.
awful
But like,
freaking...
but other than that, like we get Kylo with the conflict once again. Clearly, we've seen that he's been conflicted from the beginning, unlike Darth Vader. But what else is there in this movie that was shocking?
We
to
had
you
a
guys?
very confusing scene at the end, which I still try to... I think I just interpret it as like... I think they were just trying to make it seem like, oh, life still goes on, but you won't know about it. Where they have Rey put away 2 lightsabers and then pull out a yellow lightsaber. The first cinematic yellow lightsaber we've seen in the universe of Star Wars, as far
It's
as like
not.
the cinematics.
In terms of the movies,
the movies.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, movies
I guess,
it
yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yes, it's the first yellow lightsaber
Cinematic
in the movies.
movie,
That's
yeah,
why I
in-
said
in-
cinematic
yeah,
like 4
exactly.
times. Yeah, the cinematic yellow lightsaber.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've seen one, and it looks dope. From what it looks like, there's a second side too, because it was a big hilt.
I was honestly
And so I was
shocked in this
confused
entire
about it.
movie that they didn't give Rey the double lightsaber, like Darth Maul style. Because I thought that was going to happen for sure, because since The Force Awakens,
she
she's
has a
always used a
staff.
spear.
I thought she would
staff.
have some kind of spear that was like a lightsaber.
Like
that
that?
would have been cool.
Not like a.
Like it looks like she like that, like a spear lightsaber,
Yeah.
where it's like a lightsaber at the end, but it's like a big huge hilt.
Yeah, something like that would have been cool, something a little different. But the yellow lightsaber's pretty cool.
Well, we didn't even
And
get
that
to
could
see
have
the whole
explained
thing.
like her training thing too, because even in this movie, you realize like she's not trained still.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't pass her training.
Yeah.
Ever.
She's still learning. Like, she's still becoming.
And I love that when that happens in movies where they end the movie on like, hey, there's a lot more that you could know, but you're not gonna, because life still goes on, but the movies don't. Where it's like, okay, Rey still has this cool lightsaber, but you won't be able to see it.
Yeah,
You know, it's like something that is.
We're gonna see it.
I don't know.
It's Disney.
We'll see. I mean, maybe I think we'll
that
see
whole
it
universe
one
might not
gonna-
come back.
day. Freaking Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, and Oscar Isaac have gone on the record saying in interviews and stuff that their contracts are up and they have no plans to return to the character. Like, they said that they're done with the characters for now.
We didn't get
Granted,
Harrison Ford
Granted,
coming
see
back
something.
either.
yeah, that's
They
the
could
thing.
come in the
that's
Clone
that's
Wars
exactly what I was going to
series
say. Is like 100%. They like characters always come back somehow
Yeah.
in Star Wars. Like, I would
Whether
be
it's in an
surprised-
animated show.
I think it'll be a long time.
No one thought Palpatine was coming back.
Nobody thought freaking Luke, Han, and Leia would come back
Yeah.
after the original trilogy. But long and behold, here we are 30, 40 years later, and here they are on screen again. So I think we'll see them again, give it 10, 20 years, whatever it is.
Sure.
But I will say it. I like that idea too, where it's like, yeah, their life continues on. We don't need to necessarily see it. I think it could have been cool though to see her with the yellow lightsaber more, just because I think it would have been cool for this movie to start with her making her own lightsaber with the kyber crystal or whatever, and making a yellow one
Like
from
doing
the
like
beginning to have it, just because.
She should have made it when she was at... I was hoping for the scene when she went back to Luke's temple. And she was with Luke, and Luke is like, I want you to have something. I thought he was going to take her to build her own lightsaber. Where they like do the magic and they build it, the whole thing, where it's like in the comics and crap.
The
That would have been
magic,
sick.
you can force.
The Force. Because like, instead of having Leia's lightsaber, which was kind of a weird situation.
I've never seen Leia's lightsaber too.
Yeah,
that's the first
Hers
time.
looks really cool. It looks girly.
It does.
It does.
It's cool.
It does.
Like-
It looks very like
Yeah, feminine.
pizzazz, yeah.
I mean, I thought that was cool. I just, like, at the end of the movie, we get the whole idea that it's like Rey's finally discovered who she is. She's made an identity
a
for herself.
Skywalker.
She's literally calling herself Rey Skywalker, which is cool.
She had such a connection with Han and
Yeah,
Leia.
I just wish we could have seen that a little more, where, you know, we see the yellow lightsaber or something from the beginning to where she's already discovering like who she is, and she because the entire time, this entire trilogy, she's using someone else's lightsaber.
She's been using Luke's and then Leia's.
Leia's, like,
Which, first of all, which is weird because Luke's lightsaber is green. So I don't know why.
no,
Luke-
He
that's-
has a couple lightsabers.
yeah, his blue. It's blue for the most part until Return of the Jedi.
His main one is green though. Like
That's not
when
until
you
Return of the Jedi.
Still though, like when you said not like even in like the video games like Battlefront, he always has a green.
But
it was
I know-
weird that they had him have blue.
No, because I mean, it makes sense because literally the first 2 original Star Wars movies, he has blue.
Well, in the cutscene,
but he's not using his. He's
Actually,
using the cutscene.
not the cutscene. When it goes back and Leia's training with Luke.
Yeah, it was green.
Both lightsabers, one was green, one was blue,
And Luke's was green.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, because
that was kind of weird.
Luke does have the green lightsaber.
Now that you think
towards the
about
end.
that,
And remember, Luke's blue lightsaber isn't Luke's. That's Obi-Wan's.
No, it's not.
Because Obi-Wan gives it to Luke.
Yeah.
He's like, here's my old
I
lightsaber.
don't think it's Obi-Wan's. I think it's
oh
Anakin's.
no, the green one is the one with a thin. It's like
It's the little thin one.
It's thin right here.
Well,
and then when it gets where the thing comes out, it's like gets bigger.
I mean, not that this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. It was that's it.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, not that this really matters because it's just a lightsaber. But if you guys are forgetting, the lightsaber Rey is using in this trilogy is the one that Luke loses in Empire Strikes Back when his hand gets cut off.
That's true, and it's
And
left
then
in the box.
She finds it in
You're
the
right,
chest
you're
in
right,
Force
you're right.
Awakens, and it's that lightsaber. That's why it's blue.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, it's the blue.
That's
one.
the cleared up. So
Luke always
technically,
has the green one.
She is using not Luke's,
And see,
but either Obi-Wan's or Anakin's.
Well, it was
lightsaber.
Luke's for a time, but yeah.
What I mean is primarily probably when it was built.
Originally, yeah.
It could have been Obi-Wan's or Anakin's.
Yeah, and there was in Last Jedi. That's why everyone was confused when Luke and Kylo fight on Crate, and everyone was like, "Why is Luke's lightsaber blue?" And the reason why is because he was force projecting and stuff like that, and that's why it wasn't green. But in the flashback scenes where he's gonna kill Kylo, it's green, and so that's why it all adds up.
They confuse people so much.
The lightsaber
Green,
colors.
and now it's red. Now it's
Now
yellow.
he got purple. Why? It killed Mace Windu.
Lightsabers. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm getting
One thing I want to talk about that was kind of a hang up for me at first. I had a discussion with Alexa in the car that actually made me think a little differently about this scene. So, for the most part, I loved the movie. One thing I struggled with at the very end, so I know for some people, like, this is the bane of their existence or they don't care about this stuff. I've been wanting, like, Kylo and Rey to hook up, like, the whole Reylo thing. I thought like, since Last Jedi, I was like, they have a chemistry that I think they'd be great together. And so I thought it was awesome. Like, they kiss. They kiss in this movie.
That's a spoiler,
like, that was a big deal when Kylo goes and heals Rey after she's presumably dead after, saving everyone. Kylo then saves her, and we get this kiss, and everyone in the theater erupted into cheering. Like, everyone was really excited about this for the most part. I know some people, like, didn't want that, but, like, I thought it kind of bugged me at first, because Kylo just dies right after. And I still somewhat have a problem with this, and I'll get to that in a minute, but literally right after the kiss, we get this awesome moment where we finally see Kylo Ren smile. Like, this entire trilogy, he hasn't smiled once.
Time, yeah.
This is the first time he gives this big smile, and you're like, this is awesome. Like, this is him fully being light side. Like, he's good. He's better. And then he just falls down and dissolves. And then, literally, we don't see any sort of memoriam for him whatsoever. Like, that is it. Not his name mentioned again. That's the end of Kylo Ren. And Rey seems like she kind of forgets about him. She just gets in her X-Wing, flies off, and it's like, okay, that's the end for
really
Kylo.
was it.
Like, it was really strange. And so that was my biggest hang-up for this movie. Like, honestly, like, that was the only thing that left me with a sour taste after this. But discussing it in the car with Alexa, she brought up a good point that I didn't think about. And what she said was, I think they chose to go the direction they did with having him die is because the characters in the movie wouldn't have been able to reconcile this man being with Rey. This man who literally has been the villain and murdering people from
That's
the
what I was
beginning.
saying in the theater.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
what
I literally was telling you that.
No, okay, I know, but
Like how
Alexa, I know, but Alexa was bringing it up in a different way. I know you were getting to that, but either way, what I'm saying is like this makes sense in terms of what you were saying is the only person that cared about him was Rey. That's what you were saying.
well, that's why they had to kill him.
I know, and that's what I'm saying though is what Alexa was saying.
Bringing
though, is
him back.
If he lived, and can you imagine all of a
Here's
sudden
my boyfriend.
she comes back to the planet with
Kylo Ren!
She's got freaking Kylo Ren around her arm. Like Poe,
would be so
Finn would be
sad.
like,
oh my
what
god.
the
No,
F?
literally,
What the
they
F,
would all
bro?
kill him. Like they would all. They don't care what Rey thinks. They would kill him.
Well, I mean,
Kylo Ren's probably killed all their families, killed their children. Like
I mean, no matter what, it would have been a big hang-up for them. Like, that would be a major problem. Regardless of, how they feel about each other, it's like this guy has committed mass genocide. Like, he's literally blown up planets to where it's like, no matter how you
Kylo
slice
Ren
it...
did.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Ben Solo didn't.
Ben Solo didn't.
Sure, but it's
But it's like the whole Batman Bruce Wayne thing. It's like Bruce Wayne's like, you can't arrest me. I didn't do anything. I'm Bruce Wayne.
I'm Bruce Wayne. I'm not Batman.
But yeah, no, I know what you mean though. I agree.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
like the Ben Solo was redeemed. Kylo Ren died. It's just too bad that it had to end that way. But I can see why. I can picture J.J. Abrams in the writing room with his writing team or whatever for this, and they're sitting here. They're like, "How do we do this?" Like seriously, it would be such a tough decision because they're like,
Rey and Kylo obviously care about each other.
Yeah,
it's the coolest chemistry because not only that,
people want them to hook up, or some people do,
and that's why Rey has a connection to both Kylo's mom and dad and him. She has a connection with all of them for some reason.
Yeah.
They've been bickering back and forth for 2 movies straight where they're like starting to care about each other.
There's been like a physical tension between them. Like straight up, I was watching Last Jedi again today, and there's the scene where they touch hands and it's like palpable. You can feel it. You're like, okay, these guys they're probably going to hook up at some point.
Well, and even one of my favorite scenes is when Rey goes to the Death Star, the broken down Death Star to get the triangle thing. That was cool. And Kylo didn't have his lightsaber out.
Yeah, he did.
Rey did. Mm-hmm. Rey was swinging and he was just dodging because he didn't want to fight her. Yeah. And then he finally pulled it out when she was about to kill him.
Or stab him,
and he's like, come on. He's like, you're not leaving without me. Like, we're doing this together. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. You're right.
The whole relationship of Kylo and Rey, I thought was awesome, especially in this movie. Like some of the scenes they had, I just think it was, J.J. Abrams is sitting there in the writing room. They're like, okay, we can either kill Kylo in this spot after they kiss, and people are going to probably be disappointed because he just dies. Or if we kept him alive, though, how are we going to keep him alive? Like, literally, there would have been no right way to keep Kylo alive and have him be good. If you really think about it, it's like, how do they do that? Because otherwise, Kylo just comes back and celebrates on the green planet with them, like, woo! Like, we did it! Like, dude, you were the problem. You were the one that was trying to kill us.
You were the main one we were trying to fight for the 2 movies.
Yeah.
We didn't try to fight Palpatine until just barely.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it wouldn't have made sense. No. Because like you said, Rey was the only one that cared about him or had a relationship
Even the First Order was betraying themselves to get rid of Kylo. Even they didn't like Kylo.
Well, and the thing is nobody saw the redemption arc of Kylo except for Rey. Mm. Rey's the only one that saw the redemption arc. Because if you think about it, Finn was never there.
And Leia, yeah.
Oh, and Leia, sure, yeah, but she's dead. Spoiler, she also died.
And she died to change Ben.
Yeah, she did.
She did. Mm-hmm. No, she took her last Force power to remind him,
which was
who
awesome.
he was. Yeah.
Which I have some stuff to talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so ultimately, I think what they should have done, and I've accepted how they did it. I understand why they did it. I can't complain too much. Had I been in the situation, though, where I had to decide what they had to do right there, I wouldn't have had Rey and Kylo kiss. Even though I wanted them to hook up,
I just
wouldn't have had them kiss. I would have had them just embrace.
Well, it should have been
share a hug and have Kylo disappear in her arms.
And it should have been a situation where maybe even like where Kylo wants to kiss her, but he doesn't because he knows he's gonna die.
Yeah, exactly.
Where he doesn't let her, and he's like,
because
and then he dies.
It was so strange, like. Looking back on it,
and then he smiles, and then he just dies.
Yeah, he smiles. It's this awesome moment. Also, he just falls back almost comically. Like, the more and more I think about it, maybe I have to watch it again. But in my mind, thinking about it, it was very comical. Like all of a sudden, he was like, I thought for a split second,
and it disappeared so quickly.
Yeah, so quickly. Like,
and Rey was just like,
she
wasn't even like crying.
Yeah, she was confused. It was
hey,
Finn
and Rey, let's have a threesome.
I know, yeah, exactly. This was the thing I was confused about. I was like, what? It was super rushed. That was the problem, is like...
I think that's something I wanted to bring up.
They needed to have some sort of memoriam for Kylo. From Rey, at least.
And to bring up what I said at the beginning of the podcast, how I loved this movie, and it's probably my favorite Star Wars. Mm-hmm. The main thing that wouldn't make it like absolutely my favorite was, I think, the ending alone. Like the last 10 minutes was very rushed because they had to. Mm-hmm. Like it seemed like if they had just like 10, 20 more minutes, they could have made it more satisfying. Have a memorial where Rey makes a memorial and buries Kylo or something.
With the last thing when she's like, I'm a Skywalker. Why didn't they have every Skywalker? Why didn't they have
Han?
Anakin,
Why wasn't Han
and, all of them?
Well, you have to remember, because she can only see them because of her memory. Like, she's looking at Leia.
Yeah, no, they're Force ghosts.
Sure. I think when she saw Luke and Leia, I don't know if they were necessarily...
They should have had at least Han. If nothing else, they should have had Han, because she had a deep relationship with Han.
He's not a Skywalker.
And Kylo should have
He is a Skywalker, technically, because he married to...
Skywalker. So
she became a Skywalker.
She became a Solo.
No, I know, but he's still married to a Skywalker. Like
He gave birth to a Skywalker.
Yeah, he gave birth to a Skywalker. So it's like that blood.
He gave birth to a
is
Solo.
there. Whatever. You know what I'm saying. He's connected. He's
Sure.
Literally, to counter what you're saying, 100% this would refute anything about that, is Han literally is force projected to Kylo in this movie. Right?
It's true.
Like,
This is dad though.
Well,
I know, but how? He's not a force user.
He's not. He's.
that's actually.
He didn't-
It's just a memory. Of
he didn't
Kylo,
force project.
or it's just a memory.
Regardless,
That's why Han was real and not a ghost.
Regardless, though, that scene wouldn't play.
This is
without
what's
some
confusing
sort of
about this movie and Last Jedi did it. They play with the ghost and memory thing too much. It's confusing because you'll see something like Luke, who was blue, who was obviously a
Force Ghost,
but then you'll see somebody like Han, who
doesn't
not a
look
Force
like,
ghost,
but there
he's a memory ghost.
He's a memory. Well, here's the thing. This is one slight issue I was going to bring up, but this isn't even an issue with this movie. This is an issue with Star Wars lore as a whole that I kind of have. And it doesn't like ruin anything for me. It's just very confusing and misleading. And that's the Force in general. Because the Force kind of, depending on the movie, is whatever they want it to be. It's like, there's literally no rules. Like, there's no... Because, like, in The Last Jedi, one problem a lot of people had is Yoda is a Force ghost, and he literally summons lightning down to destroy the tree with fire. And then Luke in this one catches a light.
Catches a physical object.
It's only been on that island.
Yeah, that's
Which
true.
Which is that Jedi island.
That's
where
true.
the Jedi
That's
originate.
a good point.
There's a lot of force
that is a good point.
That's true.
That is a great point.
The ghosts might live there.
Yeah.
That might be the
That is a
ghosts'
possibility. But regardless, even if that is the case, it's not explained at all. And not shown in the movie.
There's a lot of like inconsistencies because Luke is able to physically grab a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Why can't ghosts help all the time?
That's my issue. Is it's like
it's kind of like the eagle thing with Lord of the Rings.
It's the eagle.
Why can't the eagles help all the time? If Force ghosts can grab physical objects but not get killed, why wouldn't they just grab a lightsaber and go kill everyone?
Yoda and freaking Luke project themselves to where the Emperor was.
There's so many Force ghosts.
The Mace Windu and just freaking destroy.
Well, you know what I was hoping for the entire time?
Is a Force ghost for one of them, like Obi-Wan?
The last fight, I was so hoping
they were all going to be there.
After Palpatine said, all the Sith are in me.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to Force project Darth Maul, Darth Vader.
Can you imagine?
They're all like phantoms. They're like phantoms or something.
That's the fan stuff I was I was like, I want Obi-Wan to pop in somehow.
Dude, honestly, the thing is, I thought that was going to happen too.
Well, because all the Sith are in me.
On paper, that sounds like the coolest mother effing thing.
But I think it would be silly.
If it actually happened, I think it would be way too absurd. I think it would be like...
just giant Jedi battle.
For real. I think it would be like...
What is happening?
What is happening? Because on paper it sounds so cool. I thought it was going to happen too because when Rey's like, and all the Jedi live in me. I thought it was going to pan out or like zoom out and all of a sudden there was going to be Obi-Wan behind
her. And they're all like forcing or something.
Yoda or something. And I was like... Because they just had the scene, which I thought was awesome, with all them talking to her. Like, the giving her the motivation speech, which was super cool. Probably...
I couldn't recognize the voices for some reason.
Oh, really? I recognized
Mace Windu, Luke, Han...
Dude, Hayden Christensen was in there.
Yeah.
Straight up Anakin Skywalker. Which is
original.
So cool. Heck yeah. Like,
Yoda.
People gave him so much crap for the prequel trilogy. I'm so happy he was able to come back and be Anakin again. Like, that is awesome. But, like, yeah, that was one of my favorite
scenes. His line was classic Anakin.
Yeah, he's
like, defeat the Sith just like I did.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, no.
Like, no, you didn't.
Yeah. Well,
you became Darth Vader.
No, yeah, it was pretty just, like, monotone. But I know what you mean. But regardless, I think it's super cool. He's a main part of this Star Wars universe. Give him freaking the respect he deserves. Like, the credit. Like, he deserved to be in that
He, at one point, was the strongest Jedi alive.
Yeah, like he was
the original. He was the very first chosen one. Then his son, and then Rey.
Yeah,
like literally, he was the most powerful. He was more powerful than Palpatine. That's why Palpatine trained him.
Yeah,
because Palpatine was afraid of his power.
A successor.
So he's like, okay, I need to get this guy on my team because if he's against me, I'm screwed.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and yeah. So the rules of the Force, I think, are something that can be a slight problem. Like you said, that's a great comparison, Terry. It's much like the Eagles in Lord of the Rings, where the answer is just deal with it. Well, it's kind of just like don't think about it too much. Don't think about exactly. Like that's kind of the answer. Hason's answer, I think, is the best way to kind of solve that stuff in your mind is that all of, like, the weird stuff happens on that island. But
when you think about it, right?
Like, they didn't show that in the story. Like, they didn't, like, tell you that. So
but you know what didn't happen on the island is force healing. Force healing.
Yeah,
Han
that is
Solo
true.
gets stabbed. They could have had freaking Rey or Luke.
I mean, he fell off a bridge.
But he got stabbed immediately. They could have had Luke appear as a Force Ghost, shove Kylo away, and then heal him. Or
Well, a Force Ghost didn't do that, though.
But what I mean is they could have done so many things because it's the Force.
Yeah.
From what we know so far, there's no limit.
I mean, here's the thing. If you pretend what Hasten is saying is canon and that's how it actually
Like
works,
the island?
you can reconcile a lot of the things in your head. You can be like, okay, they can't just project anywhere. The only place they can, like, physically interact with stuff is Octo, that island. And otherwise, they can appear to talk to you.
Luke physically projected himself at that random base.
But he never physically did anything.
He fought Kylo.
No, their lightsabers never touch that entire scene.
True.
Yeah, like that they went out of their way to show that.
Doesn't he force?
No. Like, he literally does nothing.
He
That's why
basically
all the
dodges.
guns shoot at him too, and he just stands there, remember? And then he does the, like, he wipes it off, and, like, he literally, if you watch that scene, no physical interaction with anything. Which I think they did that on purpose to kind of show.
If that island thing was, I wish they would have just made it canon, and Luke would have said, like, hey,
Just
you
bring
know,
it
like,
up real
ghosts,
fast.
like, this is the Jedi Island. Force is very strong here. The ghosts basically can do whatever they want.
In screenwriting, one of the biggest sins you can do is to explain something obvious to the audience. This is something the audience can figure out for themselves. But this is something that I feel wasn't obvious to the audience.
No, not at
like,
all.
I feel like that's something they should have put in there as a line just to quickly give it to you. Just be like, it could be a throwaway line. Literally, Luke just has to be like, on Octo. Like, in Last Jedi, he should have just been like, on Octo, Force Ghost can, you know, be one with the island, and we can actually live
physically
here,
interact with the
yeah, because the Force is so strong here that this
So
is
concentrated.
He
They're
literally
real.
uses the Force to pick up a plane.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Which
Crazy.
awesome scene
As
too.
a ghost.
Yeah, as a ghost, exactly.
On the island still.
On the
And then
island.
Yoda did the same thing with lightning
With the
and
lightning.
burned a freaking tree down.
On the island, yeah.
On the island, yeah. That scene, by the way, I thought was awesome because it had one of my favorite songs from Star Wars.
Well, it had the same thing. Remember in
Dun-dun,
which one was it when Luke trains with Yoda? How the thing bubbles to pick up.
Yeah.
It had the same thing. Like
And
it
then all the
bubbles
moss
to-
all over
Yeah.
it. And yeah.
It was
looked
great.
just the same.
It was great to see Luke smile in that scene too. I thought, like,
Yeah.
with him, like after he raised it up, he gave
And
the
he
smile, and then,
smiled.
like with the music playing, I thought that was awesome.
I will say,
there's something. So you guys remember when they trained Leia and Luke were training together, right?
Yeah.
What did you guys think of that CGI?
Luke's was amazing.
I thought
Leia's
both
was
of
not
them were
good.
pretty bad.
Really?
I thought Luke's looked really good because Luke lifted it up and then I was like, oh, it's Luke.
Here's the
I
Leia's
need
was
to
bad.
watch it again.
Leia's
looked
is still
pretty
not
bad.
good.
Yeah. Here's the thing: is they gotta start picking a lane with these CGI faces because Disney is one of the greatest, like, or not great. They're one of the biggest pushers of this CGI face stuff. They started it with Clue in Tron Legacy. Like, that was like the first one I remember. And it looked like Polar Express. You know,
Literally, yeah.
Literally Polar Express. And they've gotten better. Like, they have gotten better over the years. Like, they've done it in Civil War with Iron Man, like young Robert Downey Jr. They've done it with Rogue One with Tarkin back. Like, even that actor's dead.
And Leia.
And they brought him back. And Leia.
They did a
in
young
Rogue
her.
One. Like, they've been pushing that quite a bit. Didn't they even do it in Endgame with someone? Like, I swear they've done it a few times. But they did with it's not an Endgame. It's frick. I'm totally blanking. They did. It's Michael Douglas, the guy from Ant-Man. When Captain America goes to
They made him young.
remember they made him young. He goes running out. Yeah. But anyway,
Well-
like, they need to start deciding when to show their face and when not to, because this is a scene they could have just not shown the faces.
Well, they could have
had
had Leia pull off her helmet and it shows it from the back and it just has her buns or something.
Yeah, it's like
Something that was very distinctly Leia, but they didn't have to show her face for that.
Like, it reminds me in Rogue One where Leia turns around to the camera and says "Hope." You know, the final shot of the movie.
And like,
It's like
Express.
all they had to do was him hand her the thing, and then she sits there and looks at it. And it's like dun, 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 and it ends. Like, she didn't need to turn and look at the camera.
And say hope, because that ruined it. Because before then, the CGI looked great. Because I noticed there was a couple scenes in this one where even old Leia was CGI. Did you notice? It was the first two scenes with her.
So I do want to talk
This is
about
after
that
she
because
died.
here's the thing: they have gone on record saying that there was no CGI for Leia. Like, they wanted to make sure there was no CGI. So here's the thing: what they did though, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure what they did is they basically, in a way, like, green screened her into certain scenes.
Okay, because I was going to say the first
footage,
scene looked a little.
Yeah, they
weird.
took footage of her that they had filmed from. So all the footage of her in this movie was originally from The Last Jedi, which is crazy because they hadn't started filming The Rise of Skywalker yet. By the time she died, from what I understand, maybe they'll say something later where they're like, "Oh, we actually had
some scenes.
We had some scenes, but like from what I understand, all these were like deleted scenes or something from The Last Jedi. No, she wasn't, but I could tell on a couple scenes what they did is they almost like green screened her in to a spot where she originally wasn't, and then had like Poe shoulder in the scene to talk to her or something, even though Poe wasn't maybe really there or whatever when they actually filmed it. But then also, the biggest scene for me that made me realize, like, wow, they did not have Carrie Fisher for this. Like, they had to just work with what they could, was the scene where Carrie turns Kylo back and says, Ben, when she's like, Ben. And she's all shadowed.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell, it was all shadowed. They only showed her, like, arm and her back of the
top
head.
3 buns.
Yeah, like, they refused to show her face at all in that scene. And like... I think that was a great scene. I loved the whole idea of that scene. But I think it was way obvious that they didn't have Carrie Fisher for that. Because I was like, immediately, as soon as I saw it, I was like, why are they only showing her shadow? Like, they're not showing her face at all in this scene. Which is a little weird, considering this is the scene where she's turning Kylo back to the light, you know? But either way, I was also going to bring up... My theory is that the scene with Han Solo was originally going to be Carrie Fisher. I think it was originally going to be Leia. And I think the reason why is because if you think about it story-wise, he's the only person he's refused to kill is Leia. And he has a relationship with his mom more than he does Han, in a way. And so it's like, I like the way they did it with
and they made it, awesome. And I love that they had him recreate the
where he said,
Awakens thing. I don't know if I need your help.
If I can do it.
I don't know if I'm strong enough to do it. And he's like, you are.
I was watching the interview that he did when he was just like a total dick. When he was like talking about Star Wars and like the fandom and
Kylo Ren?
No, Harrison Ford.
Oh yeah, Harrison Ford is notorious for ripping off.
What did he say? He's like, they're like, if you had to have one kind of lightsaber, what would you have?
Oh yeah,
he's like pink.
Oh really? No, there's one of my favorite interviews.
There's one where he's like, I don't care.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. Is the guy's like, yeah, it's so funny.
He's look it up later.
There's this guy who's like us. He's a total nerd. You know, he's nerding out because he's interviewing Harrison Ford, and he's like, Harrison, it's such an honor. And he's just like, you know, if you could go back and do one thing for Star Wars, like, what would you do? Or like, it was this really like honest, like sentimental, nerdy question, and Harrison Ford literally is just like, I don't care.
That poor guy. Joke, like that's exactly what it was like.
Poor guy's like,
I don't care. Yeah. It's so funny. Like Harrison Ford is notorious for just like not caring about like the Star Wars fandom or anything.
Anything nerdy like
that. He's just, you can tell probably.
Oh, there's one part where he's like, so I was in the theater and these guys were crying and then and like grown men were crying and Harrison Ford's just like, oh.
Like, oh my gosh, really? Yeah,
I'll send you the clip. Jeff sent it to me.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, Harrison Ford's a total like manly man type guy. But yeah. Anyway, I think my theory is that was originally supposed to be Leia. I'm glad the way it ended up because I thought that scene was awesome and like.
Then you got both parents.
Yeah, and I loved the recreation thing and having Harrison Ford back. That's awesome. Like I don't think many people predicted that Harrison Ford would be back, especially since he went on record a million times saying, I'm done with Star Wars. Like, and he actually made one more cameo, which was awesome. But yeah, in my theories, I imagine that was originally supposed to be Leia, but they had to change it to Harrison Ford because he's actually alive, Yeah. But, yeah, and then, with the Force healing, what's your guys' kind of stance on that?
Well, I will say, like...
Man, I don't know. I did not like Force healing in this movie.
Here's the issue,
but
right?
I liked how they used it in the other thing.
We can say slight spoilers for the Mandalorian. We won't say who uses it or what. There is some basic Force healing.
But yeah, we talked about it a little bit.
I just feel like they used it too much here.
Well, no, they can't introduce it like that, but then not use it. That's what I mean.
They used it so much.
That's what I mean.
They used it probably 6 times.
Once they use it once, people would be so pissed that they didn't use it the rest of the movie. They'd be like, she stabbed Kylo, why didn't she heal him? Oh, this happened to this person, why didn't they heal him? If they can't introduce it without using it.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is where I go back to what I was saying earlier. The Force thing, I do not have a problem with for this movie. I have a problem with the Force thing as Star Wars as a whole thing, because
it has no
because
power limit.
like it has because here's the thing, it works in the context of this movie.
It literally resurrected a dead person.
Yeah, and that's the problem is like, okay, so if that's the rules of the Force, how come all the Jedi that died in freaking Order 66, how come they didn't like go and like kill them, bring them back, like or
you
whatever?
Tell me Yoda didn't know how to Force resurrect?
Yeah.
Or freaking Mace Windu, who's supposedly like one of the most powerful Jedi.
Yeah, it's like
of his time.
I mean, I guess you could pretend like playing dumb. You could be like, well, technically, none of the Jedi were together during Order 66. Like,
here's
they
the
couldn't
thing,
have done
though,
it. They're all in different places. But still, it's like it's a little confusing because it's like if the Jedi can do that. There's been so many deaths, and you can't. How come they don't go up and heal each other?
You can't even say like, oh, the Jedi didn't know how to do it, because Kylo Ren literally had no experience with healing, and he did it first try with Rey. He's just like, oh, you're alive, and then I'm dead.
Well, he saw. Didn't he see Rey do it once?
I mean,
Rey
she
healed
did him.
Yeah. Wait,
still though,
Rey healed Kylo Ren. Remember?
Yeah,
and then so he did it to her.
Yeah, exactly. So he
but
saw.
But still, like he just learned it.
Yeah.
First try, like so. I'm imagining
every Jedi. What I thought the Force was I thought it was like every Jedi has certain powers,
very specific
powers. Like in Jedi Fallen Order, like Cal, which this isn't like a hidden thing or anything. Cal can see. See like what happened there.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
That spot.
He memories based on like a touch of something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But like no other Jedi has ever done that before.
Yeah,
Kylo Ren did it to Rey in the first movie. He grabbed her head. It's like what you're imagining.
Well, he can see what she's seeing. What like in Jedi Fallen Order, he can like touch an item and see all the history involved with it.
He can touch a drone and be like, "Oh, this was horrible."
And which actually Rey does that in this movie with one thing. Like earlier in the movie, I don't even remember what it was, but there's something where she's like, "There's been bad history with this or something."
Knife.
She's like, "It's the knife." Yeah, she's like, "I've seen bad things with this." So maybe it is a thing all Jedis can do. They just don't always use it. This is the issue. This is the issue with the Force.
And
is it's not
just like you've been doing recently.
Distinct rules.
Like I've been watching a lot of like there's like a lot of like the comic books and stuff that people go over on
and stuff.
Like there's a lot of stuff that's in the comics that they've never used in the movies. Like Force healing is used a lot in the comics, like a shiz ton. Like they literally just like force heal everything, like animals and people and civilians and crap like that. So it's weird when they bring stuff like from those ones into the movies because without any context too, without like letting people know like, oh, this you can do this with the Force. You know, you can see memories and you can
heal. Here's the thing, like
you can jump super high and be Superman. You know,
I am actually fine with the idea of Force healing if it was something that we knew about before. Like here's the thing. It was a little easier for me to accept in this movie because me and Hasten watched The Mandalorian. Like, I literally watched it last night, and they do it in that episode, so I'm glad I watched that because it set me up for, like... When it happened in the episode, I remember being like, oh, that's kind of cool.
That's
but
cool.
That's
what
weird,
I thought,
though.
I was like, I've never seen that before.
Exactly. That's what I thought,
like,
too.
Is this a brand new Force power? And then it happens... Well, I guess that was the first appearance, is like, as far as, like, cinematic goes.
Yeah,
like,
in
that's
terms
the
of
first
timeline.
time it happens.
Yeah, because this happens before this does.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I thought maybe the same thing. I was like, or maybe this character is the only one that can do that.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Like he's special for that reason. Like he can do that or something.
These TV series are really gonna like
convolute
explain
stuff.
more.
It's either gonna explain more
or convolute,
or it's gonna be like, wait, what the frick? That's not supposed to how it works.
Yeah.
Especially when like you really get a Jedi on screen.
Yeah, and that's the problem. And this is the problem Marvel's gonna face too. Is like with all the TV shows and everything they're gonna have to like. It's gonna be so hard to keep continuity straight. And yeah, I agree with you.
Well, and
it's
a thing that's actually in video games. It's called power creep. It's when you become too powerful that you just have, in order to be cool, you have to get something that's more powerful than that, right? Like Lord Sidious can literally just shoot lightning and
that was insane.
Oh my! It was
a
so
freaking
sick.
It was.
I feel like that was a little bit
much.
I don't know if that's possible.
I don't think so because he just got all that life force and all the Sith, and he's like. And the freaking base,
it was crazy.
Here's the thing. Once again,
holy cow.
Once again, I thought that was one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. But once again, that is another Force thing that it's like, how come Sidious didn't do that?
He didn't have all the life
with Mace Windu. It just like, pow, and to like literally destroy the entire temple, like kill everyone in sight.
He wasn't as powerful though. Because remember, he took life force
in that situation, but
then he explains
so then how come he doesn't do it?
Because he explains it, and he says, "I will."
I guess he takes their life force.
Well, and he says, he's like, "I haven't seen a duo powerful in many, many years."
So here we go. Once again, like you can reconcile it in your mind if you actually take like some of the small things they say or whatever. Or like Hasten said, like only on the island. But once again, like
they don't make it obvious.
If you go back in history, though, it still doesn't fully add up because it's like, then how come Sidious didn't take Anakin and be like, you know what? Instead of having you as my apprentice, take his life force,
or instead of having you as my apprentice, kill me and I'll possess you and then be you and be super powerful.
Well, the only reason he could do that with Rey is because she was his daughter or granddaughter. That he said that he's like, we are blood, and that's why if you kill me and strike me down, I will be living through you since we're blood. That's the reason why.
I will say I wanted more context to why
killing him, didn't he? She did it.
Well, she killed him.
Yeah, she killed him.
Well,
she still killed him.
No, he killed himself just like he almost did with Mace Windu.
Yeah.
So she's blocking it, and he keeps doing it and killing himself.
Yeah,
and he won't stop because he's wanting.
That was cool. What I was kind of hoping for, like I'm fine with the way they did it, but I was kind of hoping that Kylo was gonna kill him. I was hoping that like,
but then he would become the Sith Master.
But
no,
he's not blood. He's not blood of Palpatine, so it would have been fine. That's why I thought they were gonna do, and maybe they thought that's the obvious answer. We can't do that, but I was like, oh, so Kylo's gonna come in, kill Palpatine, and that'll bring balance to the Force or whatever. But yeah, they had Rey do it by blocking his lightning. What did you guys think of that whole?
I loved that. That was sick.
That
was so sick. And how she gets the second lightning, and she's like, "Well, I'm all the Jedi," and then it's like starts shooting back, and the music was so epic. And
I loved the scene where Kylo killed the Knights of Ren. And when Rey and him
drops it behind him.
dropped it to him. Like,
we did not get to really see the Knights of Ren do anything.
No, we didn't.
That's another Force power, real quick.
I know.
That's another thing that Rey and Kylo can do. They can literally interact with objects from across the universe.
They can't interact with. They can interact with each other.
No, Kylo literally reaches through and grabs Rey's necklace.
I know, but once again,
off of her.
But that's through her. Like, that is something with her. I'm not. See,
that's another one of those powers that's like, can every
agree.
Jedi do that with each other, or is it just them?
Yeah, no. See, it leaves some.
Because otherwise, why wouldn't Luke in Last Jedi rip through and grab Kylo's lightsaber or something? Or I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and see, this is the thing. Once again, the Force.
You just don't ask questions.
The Force is the biggest MacGuffin you just cannot ask questions about, because otherwise you will. It's literally the Eagles. Lord of the Rings thing. If you think about the Eagles, it's like there would be no movie.
No,
it'd be the same thing if we just pretended the Force was as powerful as they make it seem. It's like, well, then there would be no movie. Literally, anyone could just reach through, kill.
Even like the ring on Lord of the Rings. Like, what's the limit to the power of the ring? Because you look at like the video games, the ring can literally destroy buildings.
You just have to.
But it's like, why didn't Frodo just put on the ring and then just destroy Mordor?
Destroy Mount Doom. Yeah, you just have to go with it. You just have to accept it in order to enjoy
that, and then you'll enjoy the movie more. Because if you look at it like the Force is like limitless power, you're like, why can't everyone use it? Like, why didn't Rey use her?
Yeah, you have to as an audience member, you have to make rules in your head of what it is, and like the Force is something that binds everything together, like all living things, like Luke and them say. And so if you look at it that way, it's more of it's a source of good. It can't always be represented by evil. Then maybe you can reconcile it that way, unless you are a Sith or dark side member. I don't know. But speaking of,
that's another thing they went on to is Rey was trying to save Chewie. Chewie gets sucked up into the ship.
Which was a sick scene.
She's trying to bring him back. Kylo Ren's trying to push it away.
Yeah.
And she's using it so much power, she shoots lightning at it and blows it up.
And I forget. And everyone's like, Chewie's dead.
I'm like,
he's done.
No way. Yeah, he's dead. That's crazy. Like, wow, they did it. And then he's just not dead.
And then he's just back.
It's another one of those things. Like, it's another thing that they did.
Yeah. I knew right away. I was like, they're not going to kill Chewie that way. Like, I just knew. So for me, it was easier to accept. Because I just knew, I was like, there's no way
Here's
they
the
kill
problem
Chewie like that.
I wanted to bring this up. This is what I was thinking about on the way home, okay? Because people are saying it's too safe, right? Think about Return of the Jedi.
Well, we'll see. Like, honestly, we don't know the full reaction.
Think about Return of the Jedi, right?
Yeah, I just want to say this real fast. We're seeing this the Thursday night it came out. Yeah. So, like, full reactions of general audiences haven't gone out yet. Like, we're still kind of waiting to see how this movie is fully received.
So think about it, right? In Return of the Jedi, right, they kill Han. Han is basically dead in Jabba the Hutt's freaking molten crap, right? Once again, just like Chewie, but he drops in they think he's gone. Like, they did that whole thing where it's like a MacGuffin, like he's gone. But then they get him back and it's totally fine, right? You think it's safe. In this movie, they killed Leia. In Return of the Jedi, they killed who?
I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily
Like, literally, you think about it, like...
Return of the Jedi.
Because I think about, like, this movie.
I don't remember that
You say
movie.
they play it safe. I don't think they did. They made a lot of risks. They killed some characters. They killed some mainline characters. You know?
Here's
They
the
did a
thing.
lot
I
of
don't think
things in the
risks
movie.
all revolve around killing
Well,
characters.
sure. But even
I
still,
think-
like, you think about... Because I wanted to bring up... You said... This
Hasten.
movie has... You
no,
said this movie has a lot that can be spoiled. If this movie was safe, there wouldn't be much that you could spoil that people wouldn't already be like, oh, well.
Well, no, I mean...
Because if you
I
say...
understand
If
what
I
you're saying.
tweeted right now and I'm like, Rey is Palpatine's granddaughter, people would be like, what the frick? But if I was like... Rey's parents.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, no, I agree with you. But what
They'd
I'm
be
saying,
like, oh, well,
I
yeah.
think what Hasten was saying and what
Well, that would be a spoiler for The Last Jedi.
No, because we learned for sure that they're nobody in this one. If I
Well,
said
here's the-
they are really nobody,
real
people would
fast.
be like, oh, well,
I
yeah,
think
it kinda knew
what Hasten is saying, and I kind of agree with him on this. I don't take it as like a bad thing though necessarily. I just think Hasten is right. I think it is predictable. Once this movie starts, I think it's very predictable that Rey is related to Palpatine. Because literally, I called it. I mean, I didn't call it. It was pretty obvious. But as soon as the movie opens, we haven't talked about the opening of the movie, with Kylo slaughtering these people and then going to face down or find Emperor Palpatine.
And as he
finds
says, like,
him,
he's like,
and he says,
you don't know who
he's
she
like, you don't
is."
know her true family, or like, you don't know her true story, blah, blah. And he gives the sinister smile. Literally right then, I turned to Alexa and I was like, Rey's related to freaking Emperor Palpatine somehow. And then all of a sudden, it just hit it even more home to me when she uses the lightning. I was like, okay, she's 100%.
Even you said it to me.
I said
on
it
the
to
chair.
you.
Yeah,
You're like,
so
it's
I know,
Palpatine.
that's what
I know,
Hasten.
but
That's what
here's-
Hasten
here's
means
the
by it was
thing,
predictable.
Right? But here's the issue, right? The original Star Warses that are acclaimed, right, have the same issue. Then here's the thing.
I'm not saying it's an issue.
Well, no, sure, I know. Here's the thing.
No,
with,
I wouldn't say that.
No,
No, because Darth, like when they're like, "I am your father."
That was
no one
insane.
knew that.
Nobody knew
Nobody
that.
knew
what I mean is, like, think
Nobody
about the
knows.
last movie of that trilogy, right? The movie. Did you know that Luke was gonna, of course, kill the Emperor and everything was gonna be okay? Of course.
Well, yeah, I know.
And
I don't think this needs to
what
be
I mean
an
is, we
argument
knew
at
that Luke and Darth Vader had a good relationship. We'd already seen him talk to Luke in a way that he was going to be good. We knew that Darth Vader would turn good.
all. No, I know, sure.
In that movie.
All
What
we're
I mean is,
saying-
like, there's a lot of the similarities where it's hard for
I
people
don't
to say.
know though, because
people
I
look
never
at,
thought Darth Vader was coming back. Whereas like Kylo, I was like, he's probably.
but you remember,
coming back.
I don't even remember the first time I watched that movie, but I'm sure people who watched that in theaters, in like the one right before that movie, they had interactions where Luke and Darth Vader are talking. And Darth Vader wants Luke to join him. Same as freaking Kylo. He's like, Luke, join me. We can rule the Empire together. Like, father and son.
I'm confused
Let's
with
do
what
it.
we're even talking about anymore.
There's similarities to the old trilogy and the new one.
Oh, of course. No,
Yeah.
100%.
Like,
yeah.
especially with the last
all of
movie.
Star Wars so far
They're all connected
has
in
been
many ways.
all 9 episodes are just about the Skywalker family.
That's
But I mean,
that's the main thing
I'm
people
saying the
criticize about
events,
The Force Awakens.
the
is
events
that
on this one are almost the exact same as this brand new one, as the original last movie of the first trilogy.
I know. What are you getting
where
at? is what I'm saying. I'm
where Darth
confused.
Vader's like, yo, Luke, join me, just like Kylo does to Rey, and then all of a sudden he betrays and is good, just like Kylo does to him, and then he kills the Emperor just like Rey does.
I know,
What I'm saying is, like,
yeah.
you say this one's safe, but yet
I
those
didn't
ones
say
aren't.
that.
No, I'm not saying
okay.
you are, right? So like people look at some like all the other Star Wars, like this movie's so much safer, and they don't do any risks. Like I think they do just as much as the rest of the Star Wars.
Well,
movies.
here's
No other Star Wars
here's the
movie
problem. Here's the
does
thing.
anything
Well, real
that's
fast
risky.
to counter that in a way, I'm not even saying
I
I
disagree. Order
I'm-
66 killed so many.
I'm not
Jedis.
even disagreeing with you.
That's
I
not-
think,
I mean,
what I'm
that's a
saying.
risk.
Well, here's the thing.
But I'm saying that's not like something
Real
that's
fast.
unpredictable.
I know, real fast. No, here's the thing. Real fast, regardless of if you think it's say anything with that, the original trilogy was the first. So that's uncomparable to this because this is 6 movies later or whatever. Like this is its own trilogy. So you can't compare the risks of the first trilogy to the ones now because that was the first of its kind. There was nothing to compare it to in that sense. And then the prequels, the thing with the prequels is you also can't compare because
You already
we
knew
knew
what
what was
was
going to
gonna
happen.
happen. Yeah.
Exactly. Like you
What
already
I
knew
mean is-
exactly how it was going to play out. We knew,
For
even
example-
though Order 66 was a risk, we knew it had to happen.
Well, think
because
about it.
otherwise it wouldn't have made
Well, sure.
sense.
Well, think about it, right? We can't talk about the reason I didn't bring up the prequels at all because the prequels are obviously predictable because they're a prequel. We know what's going to happen because we already know what happens.
know the end
because we know the end goal. We know that there's no Jedi left, so we knew that Order 66 was going to happen.
Or something,
Order 66 was the most predictable thing for the last movie. We're like, well, all the Jedi have to die because there's no Jedi in the new series. in the original series. So the thing is, I look at like this movie. I think the most predictable thing was obviously that Rey has some kind of connection, especially at least once you get into the movie. If you haven't seen the movie,
I think
if you haven't even started watching the
that,
movie,
like Kylo was going to be a good guy.
No. We were even talking about that in the theater. Like, Connor even said, like, there's a chance he might not be redeemable, but he might still not kill Rey, but he might stay back.
I think here's the biggest issue.
Because that's something that wasn't predictable.
Well,
because I still had that thought of maybe Kylo won't turn good, but he just won't kill
I think
Rey.
Kylo's situation is unique because it's a 50-50 shot.
Sure.
Listen, because the thing is...
Did you know Kylo was going to die?
Well, let me finish real fast. Rey's situation, parents or no parents, it's not a 50-50 thing because it's also who's her parents. Who's not her... there's a million possibilities. Versus Kylo's redemption arc of either becoming good or staying bad, it's literally a coin flip. So whoever was predicting what, it's like you have a 50-50
as far as
shot.
So I come out of the movie and I'm like, I don't feel bad or good. Like, I don't feel like anyone won or lost here. Like, I don't care.
Here's the thing is,
like no one died that I care about.
I look at a movie like The Last Jedi even. Comparable to this, right? As far as, like, predictability. Where you're thinking, like, okay, what's going to happen, right? Because obviously this is a middle movie, so it's not going to end in a way that you want it to end. You look at an end of the trilogy movie. They have to end it where the good guys win. No matter what, the good guys had to win at the end of this movie.
But there's no sacrifice.
But what I mean is, there was. Leia died, right? Kylo
we knew
died.
Leia was going to die.
We didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't know for sure. I didn't because
we
didn't. Me and Connor even talked about it in the podcast. I thought they weren't.
I thought they wouldn't kill Leia only because I thought
Carrie Fisher died.
Because Carrie Fisher died in real life.
So proof right there.
I thought they would be like.
I was going
we
into the
don't
movie
wanna
almost
be in
knowing
bad
that they
taste.
weren't going to kill Leia. So I was surprised when they did because I was thinking, out of respect for Carrie Fisher, they won't kill Leia.
Yeah,
but they did. It's like if Paul Walker died and then in Fast and Furious they freaking murdered.
One thing I have to put out there just from my perspective, for me personally, death is a cliche that I think doesn't have to represent if a movie is
predictable
or not.
But that's what I was trying to bring up.
Let me finish real fast because people always think, oh, okay, if someone didn't die or if someone did die, that's the basis on if the movie's predictable or not. I don't think it has to be. Like, characters will die, characters won't die.
That's what I was trying to bring up, right?
To where it's like...
That's how you're going to get to me, though.
I know, but you keep bringing up deaths. Like, without deaths, did you know that Rey was going to be tempted by Palpatine to go to a Sith planet where she would become the new Empress of the Sith by killing Emperor Palpatine to absorb all the Sith? No, that is very unpredictable. Like, that is... Nobody thought that was going to happen. Like, when people thought of, like, how this trilogy is going to end, they weren't thinking, well, Palpatine's going to want...
I want to move on.
No one knew what was going to happen.
But that's what I mean.
Exactly what was going to happen, but we knew, like, they were connected some way. But, like, you look at, like, Avengers Endgame, the way you're going to get to me is, like, characters dying, where, like, RDJ dies. He literally dies from the series. He's gone.
Well, sure.
Characters die, and there's no one in the series that I'm like, oh, dang it, we lost him.
So, did you think Endgame was predictable? Because we even called it before that. We knew one of them was going to die.
Yeah, well, here's the thing.
So that's why I don't like talking about deaths.
Because this is literally what we're talking about is 100% just personal taste stuff. Like, you can ask anyone. Like, for someone, predictability can be death. It can be whatever. Let's go back to talking about, like, things that happen in this movie. Because this could be an argument we literally go on forever. So, like, going to other stuff that happened in this movie that we were surprised about or want to discuss, regardless of how we feel about it.
Well, I want to say something then real quick, because I haven't really been able to talk about it. I think the main thing for me was the reason I love this movie so much is the storyline was so unique from all the rest of the Star Wars movies. Because all the rest of the Star Wars movies, for me, have a very similar feel. Somebody gets kidnapped on the ship, and then they have to go save them. Then they come back, and they're all, and then all of a sudden a planet blows up, and then they're all sad, and then, like, those things happened, but the main story was completely unknown. The whole Sith planet thing, like, that was awesome. The whole Sith, like, artifact that they had to go find at the destroyed Death Star, how you could see Rey's destruction into darkness, almost to where she was succumbing, but then not succumbing, which proves to me that she's like a gray Jedi, because she still has that hatred in her. It's not just gone. We saw it firsthand, she's just like Anakin. Then having Palpatine being all crippled and on like a robot arm, where he's maybe the fact that she's his granddaughter is predictable, right? But the fact that
let's get away from the whole.
I know.
Here.
I'm saying, but on top of that, the storyline was so insane where you find out that the reason he even wants her is not because he wanted her dead, because he wanted her to take over. He wanted her to kill him. Like, that's so crazy to me. It's so cool, and it's very unique for a Star Wars story, which I loved about it.
Yeah, one thing I'm really curious about for this movie is I'm interested to see how like fans react to it and reviews. I mean, we've seen a little bit of reviews and whatnot, but like I'm curious to see if it's going to be as polarizing as The Last Jedi, because one thing that in a broader discussion that I wanted to kind of talk about is the whole situation that happened behind the scenes for Star Wars in this trilogy specifically. Is you get the first movie announced, The Force Awakens. J.J. Abrams going to be taking the helm as director. And then we get this weird thing where they decide to announce the directors for the entire trilogy. Before Force Awakens even came out, they announced Rian Johnson will be taking the next one, episode 8. And then they announced Colin Trevorrow, the guy who did Jurassic World, will be doing episode 9, this one. Guess what, guys? That didn't happen. This happens a lot in Star Wars through the next few years. Rian Johnson ends up directing Star Wars, at the time the most polarizing Star Wars ever to come out, and Colin Trevorrow got fired from episode 9, and they brought J.J. Abrams in to come in and do it. So from the beginning,
There's a lot he has to work with.
It's been
there's
really
already
weird
material that the other guy made for number 9.
Well, episode 8. Well, the thing is, it's really weird because J.J. Abrams comes in, he makes Force Awakens, and for the most part, Force Awakens is very well received. People like it, and we like it.
It's my favorite Star Wars.
People love it. But ultimately, the biggest criticism of it is that it's literally almost a remake of A New Hope. It plays out super similarly. If you look at, like, even to the point where BB-8 has a message that he has to get to the rebels, just like R2 on A New Hope. Like, it plays out so similarly. It's almost laughable.
The whole series does. This whole new trilogy, that's the thing.
No. I 100%
very similar.
I 100%
Besides
disagree.
Last Jedi?
No, I know, and that's what I'm saying. Right? That's where
Last Jedi
that's why I'm saying I 100% disagree. Because what happens is so J.J. Abrams makes that one, makes a great Star Wars movie that people love. And eat it up, I like it, most people like it. It's a very spoon-fed Star Wars movie. It's by the books, but people like it. People like by the books a lot of the times.
People like when they can predict what's going to happen.
Not even that, it's people like... No, because people like to be surprised. People were genuinely surprised when they found out Kylo Ren... When it fits with
a fan theory, people love it.
People were genuinely surprised when they found out Kylo Ren was the son of Han Solo and Leia. Like, that was... I mean, maybe not shocked, but that was a big reveal. But, like, what kind of happens is... So then Rian Johnson comes in. That was huge. That was
crazy.
That was big. People did not see that coming.
Remember in theaters, people were like, oh.
Like, what? That was devastating. Then we get Rian Johnson to come along and make The Last Jedi. From what we understand, JJ had literally zero input on what happens in The Last Jedi. So this was a really weird decision from Disney in the beginning at all, to have 3 separate directors to kind of do their own thing with each movie.
I don't know why you wouldn't do it.
It was really strange. And so Rian Johnson comes in, and he takes ideas that J.J. Abrams set up, right? He has, obviously, all the same characters and whatnot, and adds some of his own. And we get the most polarizing Star Wars of all time in The Last Jedi, because it is, in a lot of people's minds, a movie that takes way more risks than any other Star Wars movie has. The Last Jedi, a lot of people have put it this way, is that it's the indie Star Wars movie. It's the movie, like, if you watch an independent movie, the laws of an independent movie don't normally play out the way like a popcorn flick does, like a blockbuster that everyone goes to see.
There's not like a rising action, a falling action,
or there's not like
a conclusion.
The lines of good and bad are blurred. Like, you can have an evil character be your main character for an indie movie or whatever it is. Like, all that stuff is blurred. Versus Star Wars is much more black and white in the past, where it's been like, hey, this is the bad guy, this is the good guy. Yeah, Darth Vader is bad. Like, yeah, there's the Jedi and the Sith, good and bad. Like, that's the way people tend to like it. When Last Jedi came out, it broke all of those rules. It made it to where, and people hated a lot of the decisions made in there, it made it to where the main seemingly bad guy, the Emperor of the series, gets killed like that by Kylo Ren. We get the whole gray Jedi thing of Luke, where he literally, that end of the J.J. Abrams Force Awakens, where she goes up to hand Luke the lightsaber. Literally, the start of Last Jedi, he throws it over his shoulder off a mountain. He goes and changes from his light robes into dark robes. Like, and he's a hermit. He's pissed. He's, resentful. Like, basically everything that, a lot of things that J.J. Abrams set up, Rian Johnson kind of went, how about, people think they know what's going to happen in this movie. I'm going to do the exact opposite. to where because he wanted it to be super unexpected in a way that a lot of people didn't like.
Well, I think that's what sucks because that's what a lot of people said. It was
And
why
I liked
fans may have ruined it for themselves,
and that's
because they were like, "Oh, I know what's gonna happen."
well,
so
everyone
Ryan
thought,
Johnson was like, "Oh no, you don't."
Yeah, and that exactly. Like I almost feel like Ryan Johnson prided himself on purposely
was
went
like,
the opposite way.
No,
because everyone's like, okay, Rey's gonna be Obi-Wan's kid, right, or Qui-Gon, or whatever. Like she's gonna be Connected Zone, right? And Ryan Johnson's like, no, she's a nobody. And guess what? Anyone can have the Force, like this random kid at the end here, because the Force is a spirit inside of you. It doesn't have to be. It's not reserved just for Jedi.
And he tried to make that very obvious in that movie.
Yeah, and he was like,
the Force.
And he's like, you know what? And also,
everyone can.
Jedi's can project themselves using power, and like all the he went in and made a lot of changes and made his own plan. Personally, I loved it. We've talked about that in the past and whatnot, but a lot of people hated it.
Well, there's not a Star Wars movie that I've hated yet.
Yeah, me neither.
One that I've hated.
Yeah, me neither. But yeah, so for a lot of people, they didn't like the decisions made in The Last Jedi. Then, so Colin Trevorrow gets fired for Episode 9 for creative differences, apparently. And they announced they're bringing back JJ. From the beginning, people have been worried about, is this movie going to be super safe and by the book? And is this movie going to literally take a lot of things Ryan Johnson did and go revert it back to what JJ
and
wanted?
It's also hard when a movie has had multiple directors because the movie never gets handled right. Like, look at Solo, for example. Where you have a movie that's been directed by somebody else and then has a change.
Here's the thing. Colin
I
Trevorrow...
love Solo.
Well, no, we love it.
Okay.
Most people hate it.
a lot of people didn't.
I feel like
Solo. Solo just didn't get out there.
Most people did not like
every
Solo.
other Star Wars.
People thought Solo was
Solo's a weird situation.
I love Solo.
Here's the thing with Episode 9, though. Colin Trevorrow didn't direct any of this. He got fired before it started filming. So, like, JJ came in, and this was his movie. For what we understand, for the most part, this was 100% JJ's movie. And ultimately, I like what we got. I think it was... I actually am on the side that I think it was safe. I think it was ultimately safe. I think it was what JJ originally wanted. Had JJ directed all the movies for the most part,
I think
with
a couple
slight
differences.
With slight
Because
differences.
if I'm honest,
I
think JJ really wanted either like Obi-Wan or something. I don't think JJ wanted.
He had to make
Palpatines.
Changes.
That's what I mean.
The thing is, he had to make because of
wanted to
Ryan
do
Johnson.
something.
He had to make changes based on The Last Jedi. He had to make some, creative changes. And the thing is I think I liked what happened. At the end of the day, I think it was a great popcorn flick. I think it was super fun, entertaining. But I can totally see the argument for how it would be safe. Like, I do. I can see that because it's like, what JJ did was basically, he's like, this was the vision I originally had, and I'm going to see it through to completion because I get to direct the last one. Instead, if, like, Ryan Johnson had directed this, I think it would have been a totally different movie. I think it wouldn't have been nearly as similar to this. No. I think there wouldn't have been a chance Rey would have been the son or granddaughter of freaking the Emperor.
And if I'm honest, I think Kylo would have ended up fully succumbing to darkness and been like the bad guy.
If Ryan Johnson directed, I think Rey might have even too. In some ways.
Yeah. And they may have
like
they may have had them both like try to make the Grey Order. I think.
And Finn becomes a Jedi.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, no, totally. I think it would have been.
Finn was practically using the Force in this movie.
Yeah, he was in a lot of ways. I think they were setting it up that, he's Force sensitive way, and that's something Ryan Johnson set up is that anyone can have the Force. You don't have to be a Jedi.
Well, and that everyone has the Force. It's just whether
it's whether you use it or not. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, so like boiling it down, like it's ultimately a tell of multiple directors because I like the story we got. I'm fine with safe movies once in a while. Like I don't think a movie has to be super crazy to be enjoyable. But once in a while I like that. Like I liked that for The Last Jedi. I liked that it wasn't what my expectations were. And then for this, I was glad that it went for the most part as I expected, a lot of it. Like, there was still some surprises for me, but ultimately I was fine with the journey and, like, where it ended. Like, I was like, even though I could kind of see this coming, I liked it. Like, I'm fine with that once in a while.
Well, that's why it's like, I think that's why I liked it so much. Is not only was it a great movie, but I personally think that the story was very ambitious. I thought the baseline story was really cool. I thought he went somewhere with, like, Palpatine and the whole Empress thing that was, like, because he could have done something where it's like, oh, it's simple, Kylo's bad, and it's really, like, Palpatine's there, but he has no purpose, just he wants to be Emperor again and destroy everything, which, wasn't the case. It was, like, a whole different thing. Yeah. I thought it was a great movie, and if I had to rank it, I mean, I don't know, because I love it equally comparable to like Phantom Menace and
It's way
Force
too
Awakens.
early for me to like even think about where I'd rank it in terms of the Star Wars movies because, you know, I've only seen it once and we just barely got done. It's still super fresh. Like, I need to sit with this a bit more.
Yeah.
To
Well,
get
I
want
wanna
to
watch it again, for
And I want to
sure.
watch it again.
What would you rate it though?
What I rate it out of like 10?
Yeah.
Once again, I think that's something I'd have to sit with a bit more. But like
initial
leaving the theater, like when it was done, like I was pretty high on it. Like I said, my biggest hang up was the way they handled Kylo's ending scene. Like I just thought that was very weird. But other than that, like 9, 8.8, something like that, right around there.
I'd say about 9.5.
Yeah, like I really liked it. I mean, if if that Kylo Ren scene is still a huge hang up,
I
that
agree
takes
with
it
you.
down a couple points.
Because I agree with you. I might not think it's as detrimental as you may have when you first left, but I do agree. I think that was one of the weakest points was the way they handled Kylo's, and I think also the relationship with Finn, Poe, and Rey at the end. They didn't really. There wasn't a lot of like conclusion to it.
Yeah,
you didn't know what happened to any of them.
It's hard because you have to know when to end the movie or when to keep doing stuff because otherwise you end up with a Return of the King situation. I love Return of the King. My favorite movie of all time. But a lot of people hate that movie literally has 20 endings. Like, they wrap up everything.
It drags
with the
on.
nicest bow.
Literally, there's an hour
They give
of
you
just
they
saying
give you
goodbye.
resolution for every character.
character.
Every character, they're like, you want to know what happened to Aragorn? He became King of Gondor. He gets this awesome singing song. He sings to his wife Arwen. Like, they finally get together. Oh, you want to know what happens to hobbits? They go back to the Shire.
Here's Gandalf and Legolas and
Sam
Gimli
gets
and-
his kids and he's living happily. Like, they have wrap-ups for every character.
Well, and,
every single one.
And then
Versus...
if you harken back to even the end of Star Wars before the prequels or anything. The original end of Star Wars with the original trilogy. It ended with the same situation. Luke, Han, and Leia just literally like staring off in the distance. You didn't know if Han and Leia got together. You didn't know what Luke went and did. You don't know what the Force. Remember, they were just singing with the Ewoks, and then it's done. And you're like, frick, what happened to any of them? You're like,
yeah. And so I mean, I think that's maybe what they were going for. Is that's kind of the way they like to end the Star Wars movies. I think this ending, like I liked the ending, but I think it could have used 2 or 3 minutes more.
That's what I was.
I think they could have added
even like 10 more minutes.
Yeah, like a few more minutes to wrap up, give Kylo a better send off. Yeah,
just like, hang out.
I think. It
was the same
it's
situation
awesome
as like
that they gave Chewie a medal. That it was awesome
because he never got one.
He never got one in the originals, which that's cool.
He was just sitting on the side.
I actually liked the way they wrapped up Chewie.
Yeah.
I think Chewie's was good. I think a couple that weren't so wrapped up well was, like Terrence said, Finn. Finn, I thought was really weird because they didn't pay off his biggest thing of the entire movie, which was he didn't get to tell Rey something. Yeah. Like, he never got to tell Rey something. I assumed it was I love you,
but it could have been anything.
It could have been anything.
Could have been like, you can do it.
He never got to say it, which I thought was very weird. Like,
well, and because like I think Poe was wrapped up good because he never had too much of a complex situation. I think Poe.
Oh my gosh, dude! I thought for a second Lando was just gonna be like, "You're my daughter" to that one. I was like,
"That's so forced."
They basically said
that. But I was like, "Why?" That was something that I was like, "That's too much." Like, come on, not everyone has to be. Like,
I thought that was a cool wrap up because it kind of left it up to interpretation. Like he's like, "Let's find out."
He's like, "Let's find out." So yeah, I just thought it was like that's too obvious. Like.
She's black.
Yeah.
And he's black.
Oh, yeah, so she's his daughter, right? Like,
the only two black people in Star Wars are somehow related.
Yeah, is like Finn their uncle or something too?
Windu's the grandpa.
Yeah, goodness.
Yeah,
I thought that was a little too on the nose. I was like, okay.
Well, I'm glad that he wasn't like it. I think they left it open up. They left it.
I got drunk one night and had you, and I never told you. Or when
I think Poe's wrap up was one of the most satisfying because he was the general now, and then that girl that he liked, he even like was like
gave that little face.
I'll see you later.
Yeah, Poe's was good. I agree.
Poe's was good.
Poe's whole arc in this, I actually really enjoyed. I liked him wanting to become general, filling the footsteps of Leia, getting that, and then I liked his love interest too. I
thought hers was
the
more
second
wholesome.
They were on screen together.
Oh, I knew it.
I was like, they've
had history.
They are good. Like they did that so well for just this movie and put.
It reminded me of
together.
Han Solo.
Yeah,
he reminded
totally 100%. Just kind of like a smuggler, like. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I like the way Pose was handled.
Surprisingly, I think Rey had a really good wrap up too. Even though like she didn't have that thing with Finn.
Oh, yeah.
Because like hers wrapped up good. You could see that she was probably going to train. She put the lightsabers to rest. She was at peace. you know, and like she went. What I love is every single trilogy has started and ended on Tatooine. Every single one of them. Because Rey started at the beginning on this one, and then ended it at Luke's old home. The beginning of the prequels started with Anakin as a kid.
No, this movie, she was on Jakku, not Tatooine.
Oh, that's true. But still, like they ended at the home. Yeah. Well, the beginning of the series, the very first Star Wars show, ended at the same place it ended.
Yeah, with the two moons and everything. Yeah, I liked. Yeah, Rey's conclusion was good. It just was missing Kylo. Like honestly, for me, that was the biggest problem. Is like there was no wrap up to her.
I think what they could have done to make
all they had to do
is just have her have like a memento.
Exactly. Like when she buried the lightsabers, all she had to do was maybe pull out. Even though it wouldn't make sense, pull out Kylo's lightsaber
or his helmet,
or some
from
the ocean, or something, you know, like some sort of memorial.
His decapitated head.
Yeah,
his robes
were
still there.
Or I don't know, something.
Well, they were like good robes because when he came back,
his end robes or something. Yeah, or something like there should have been something that she had like a moment and maybe like a smile and then like a nod and then put it away. Boom! I would have been like, "That's great." Boom. Wrap it up.
Even if as simple as she looks down at her chest where Kylo healed her, and she like smiles or something, and she like or something like small to where it's like, yeah.
No, that would have been great. Like literally, she like puts her hand on her stomach or whatever,
like where
and like you can tell just from a look
because she sits
like
there
and she smiles like that would have.
If she did that though, it would have been like, oh, she's pregnant. She's
True,
pregnant.
good point. That is a good point.
It was like on the other side.
Yeah,
if
they made it like more to the side, I guess. Like. That is true. But that's a good, totally, Taryn. Like that would have been all I
something
needed.
so small that would have been like, so she remembers Kylo.
Yeah, and it's not just like because it was so strange. I still can't get over it as of right now.
His falls dead, and then she's done with him.
She's done. Like nothing else. No other moment for Kylo. Like he's the second main character. Of this
I have to
trilogy.
rewatch it though. I have to rewatch it and see what
we're missing out on the best part of this movie. There's 4 droids. Which one's your favorite?
Oh my gosh, yeah. C-3PO.
C-3PO is hilarious, but my favorite droid's BB-8.
BB-8's great.
I love the new guy. He was funny.
Like, hello.
C-3PO lost his memory. He's like,
I like that
sad.
he talks. It's a Dio.
Oh, Dio. It's like, sad.
I like that it talks. Yeah, that was funny.
And then that Grey goes to touch him. He's like, no thanks.
No thanks.
No thanks.
No thanks. Yeah, that was funny.
R2-D2 doesn't do it.
He wasn't even in it.
Dude, R2-D2 has gotten the biggest sideline treatment for this entire trilogy. It's actually quite shocking because he's
surprised.
like huge. It's
just
weird.
Wasn't he created by Skywalker?
No, he was.
That was C-3PO.
He was bought. He was bought by Luke.
Yeah, I don't know how he comes in. He's in the prequels. I don't know how he comes into possession.
In the prequels,
like where he's brought in.
I don't remember.
Obi-Wan has him.
I don't think it's Obi-Wan. It's really weird. Is it Qui-Gon?
Pretty sure he does because
it might be Qui-Gon.
Because in the prequels, Qui-Gon does have R2-D2.
Yeah.
Because Qui-Gon's bringing
R2-D2.
Anakin, yeah. He brings it to Anakin because Anakin's building C-3PO.
Or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's really weird that R2 is like not been that big in this trilogy. I guess it's fine because he's gotten his spotlight. Like BB-8's obviously the main one now.
But it's weird because did they resolve... Because C-3PO didn't have his red arm in this one. But he had
that was resolved in Last Jedi. Like,
it was?
Yeah, he even brings it up as a joke. He's like, "You're probably wondering why I don't have my red arm anymore." And then they're like, "Shut up, 3PO."
Really?
Yeah, they just like ignore
I
him.
love 3PO in this one. I thought he was one of the best characters in this one.
Yeah, no, for sure. 3PO is such an underrated character. Like, we don't give him enough love, but he's
everyone
really
literally every character's just like, God, I hate him.
Yeah,
he can just translate though. We need him.
Yeah, gosh.
I love how Poe. He's like,
there's so many languages that we don't know that we need to translate.
Yeah.
He knows it all. So.
When Poe's like walking through, he's like, I can't imagine what made these tunnels. He's like, well, judging by the circumference, and I said I don't want to know.
Yeah. Well, then there's also in the Last Jedi. He's like, C-3PO was like, our odds of escaping here are 3.1199, and Poe's like, stop. Shut up! And then 3 was like, to 0. Like, keeps talking. It's so funny. Like, I love how they just...
I love too when... the little guy, his name was so funny. What was his name? Like, Ben Frick or something?
Oh, something weird,
Something weird.
That was a weird
he's like sitting there and he's like, actually, I think we thought of something else that we could do.
Yeah, then just dies. Yeah, no, I that was actually one of my favorite scenes too. Is the C-3PO saying, taking one last look. I wish that was in the trailer. because that's
It was in the trailer. I know.
Yeah, but
same with the Ray double lightsaber thing. They shouldn't have had those.
Yeah,
scenes.
there's some things they shouldn't have had in the trailer. They would have been.
They would have been way more surprising.
Basically,
way more
every
impactful.
comedy thing was in a trailer.
Yeah.
Of some sort.
That's how
sure.
it usually goes. It's like the coolest scenes and the comedy ones are usually in the trailers because they want to make it.
Yeah, they want to sell you on it. I mean, not that they had to sell people on Star Wars. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, but the C-3PO, like, taking one last look at my friends, that actually hit me because I was like, man, 3PO's been there from the freaking beginning, dude.
The very first
He's
episode.
He's
the
never not been in
him,
a Star
him
Wars
and
movie.
R2 are the only characters that have been in every Star Wars movie. The only one I think they might not have been.
No, they're
is
in
Solo.
Rogue One. Oh yeah, they're not.
Solo is the only one I think that they aren't, but they're even in Rogue One. Like, they've been in every single one. They've been in there from the beginning. So it's like that was a sad moment. Like, they're gonna erase his memory. He's not gonna remember anything.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, as Jason said, they brought it back. I knew they would though. Like, that was one thing that I was like, R2 is gonna do something because there's no way they can't have like. But once again, they didn't even really wrap up like C-3PO and R2 as well. That was another one I was hoping.
I mean, they're
for,
just
like,
gonna keep going.
They'll continue
True.
in the series.
You know.
That's true. Yeah, C-3PO. and
They'll
R2.
always
Well,
be around.
here-
They're gonna be the kind of characters like in these TV shows that somehow like they run into them.
They'll
Here's
be,
one
they'll be
thing
like
I
the
will
Nick
say.
Fury of
They
the Star Wars.
they will always. The great thing about Star Wars is they will always continue with the future of Star Wars. Guaranteed, the next trilogy most likely will
Episode 10,
It'll
11,
take
and
place
12.
after the Rey and crap.
Oh, yeah.
and like because like the thing
Well,
is that's
no,
what's great
I
about
actually
Star
think
Wars is
they
'cause
already
can always
announced.
continue.
They didn't announce it, but it's actually rumored that it's way before. It's like
That'd be
old.
sick.
It's the Old Republic.
Did you know like in the comics and stuff like the first lightsabers were connected through like battery packs that were attached to like the
I was
sides.
watching Hacks
They had like
earlier today.
tubes connected to them.
What the
It's
heck?
Super cool.
That's weird.
It'd be cool to see like the very first Jedi.
Yeah. So like this is the end of like the Skywalker Saga. What did you guys think of it as a whole? Like as of right now, they're done with Skywalkers.
I'm sure they'll connect them somehow.
I don't think so. I think
they
I
always
think
they're done.
I think they're done. I hope
Well, there will
they're
always
done.
be mention of like Darth Vader and
I don't
Kylo
know.
Ren
I kind of hope
and
it's done.
Anakin, and I think
There's
they'll always
worse
mention.
Sith though than those guys too. Before
Like an old
all
time-
these other
Like
ones
Darth
too. So
Raven.
maybe
or
they'll just go
whatever.
there.
Darth Sithis or whatever.
No, yeah,
from Old Republic.
Sithis.
Yeah.
Darth Sithis.
There's literally a guy named Darth
What the
Sithis.
frick?
Darth
I think
Sithis.
they're-
Darth
Yeah.
Sith.
No, he's it's the main guy
Wow,
on
creative.
Old Republic with the white mask.
I thought that was like Raven.
Well, you know what's
You're
crazy
thinking of
is they
Re-
brought Darth Maul
Re-
in.
Revan.
In-
Revan.
in
You're thinking of
in
Revan.
Solo.
Darth
Where's
Revan.
he gonna come into play?
I mean,
No.
they.
We have no idea where the Star Wars
It
universe
was
is
originally
going.
rumored they were going to have like a Solo sequel, but that's not going to
That's not
happen
gonna
now.
happen,
What
no.
they need to do is they need to make Solo as a Disney Plus show. Like they need to make a Solo Disney Plus.
They
That would be
do.
great. Because Solo, I think, would have even fit better as a show instead of a movie.
Series.
I loved Solo. I thought Solo was so cool.
I
'Cause
did
it
too.
didn't,
I really
it didn't
liked
feel
Solo.
like a traditional Star Wars movie. It felt like a scavenger pirate.
Solo's not
Ah,
like
cool.
Solo's not bad. It's not my favorite Star Wars movie. It's probably like in the middle somewhere for me. But yeah, I think it's underrated.
What
too.
movie? What Star Wars movie do you hate the most?
I don't hate any of them. I think my least
don't hate-
favorite
What's your
would
least
be
favorite then?
probably Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, my least favorite is actually.
I love that one because
That one is cool with Jango
They
Fett.
fight They fight. Isn't that the one where they fight in the arena with all the three
Yeah,
animals?
uh-huh.
See, I love that. That's like my most iconic scene I remember from Star Wars.
Yeah, I
That's
like
true.
that one too. See, the thing is it's interesting because if you asked me like 10 years ago, Attack of the Clones would have been like my favorite.
And I used
But now-
to hate the
But
originals.
now I might agree with Tanner. It's either Attack of the Clones or Phantom Menace. And the only reason, like once again, it's
what's
like
the
it's
middle
like
one in the middle
picking
in the first trilogy?
out of my favorite children because I love all of them.
Is it A New Hope?
Because there's Empire Strikes Back, and then
A New Hope. And,
A New Hope.
There's A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I think it's probably actually Phantom Menace because Darth Maul is the coolest part of Phantom Menace. Like if you take out the Darth Maul stuff, it's okay. Like it's fun to watch still, but like there's not much else. Besides, like you get freaking Jar Jar.
That is
like,
true. Phantom Menace, besides the Darth Maul crap and Qui-Gon Jinn, like
Yeah,
there's not like it's pretty boring. It's a lot. It's like a very political.
it's
movie.
very political. Like that's the thing is like that's why a lot of people were so disappointed with Phantom Menace when it came out. Is because it's very like all about like the politics and Darth Sidious's rise to becoming like a politician. And so it's like yeah, it's pretty boring outside of the like Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan stuff. I still enjoy it, but that was
It's
probably my
too
least
bad
favorite.
they didn't call him Sidious a lot in this one. They mainly called him Palpatine.
Palpatine. Yeah, I think that's because like Sidious is his Darth Vader name. You know, it's like
Sure.
you got Darth Vader and then Anakin, and they were calling him.
I really thought we were gonna get the announcement that he's Plagueis though, because they could have like told us why he's still alive and crap.
Maybe they'll go to
And he's like,
Plagueis
I am
next.
Plagueis.
Yeah, I mean, Plagueis might be being saved for the Old Republic trilogy.
True.
One thing I will say that I loved about this one is they brought back so many of the prequel songs, which I loved.
Oh, I know.
They had so many, like, I can't even think of them exactly right now, but there's moments like where, yeah, like where some of the prequel songs came in. I was like, heck yes, they're actually referencing some of these awesome prequel songs because they haven't done that in any of the other ones. And so I thought that was awesome. And also, I don't know if you guys noticed this. This is kind of a polarizing thing, but they brought back the Jedi jumping, which is something they haven't done.
Yeah.
Like the insane jumping, like Rey and Kylo do it like 3 or 4 times. Like they do the insane jumps. Like
was that a thing that
ones.
was not a thing? Like where they
in Force Awakens and Last Jedi, there's no insane Jedi jumping.
Well, I don't know about Kylo because
I will say Last Jedi
trained, but like Rey hasn't been trained up until this movie, really.
Well,
training
for Rey,
Yeah, to have her like Force jumps. And stuff.
Yeah, but like Kylo didn't do it at all in Force Awakens or anything. Mm-hmm. Like, I just think I know that'll be kind of a polarizing thing. Some people didn't like the insane Jedi jumping of like the prequels. Like I liked it.
I love it. It makes
I love it when Yoda was bouncing around fighting Palpatine.
Make this weird sound.
That was so cool.
But yeah, like some people didn't like that, so I'm interested to see how people kind of react to that. Because I liked that it was back. I think it makes sense. They're Jedi. Like they
have powers.
They have powers. But once again, then you come into the rule thing where it's like there's the scene at the beginning, Rey's meditating and floating, which I thought was a really cool scene. But then I was questioning him like, how come they can't just like fly?
Can they?
You know what I mean? Like how come Jedi can't?
Leia does it. She literally Supermans it.
Well, now here, the way I will defend that scene
sucks.
Yeah,
They should have killed her there.
yeah, they should have. I actually agree with that.
I think they were originally going.
They should have killed her.
They might have originally.
We had talked about it before. I think they were going to,
but
then
they didn't.
once
Because it
Carrie
would have
Fisher
been bad
died,
taste to have her blow up out of a ship.
and then they were like, "Oh my gosh, that's so evil to Carrie Fisher. She just died," and they blew her up in Star Wars.
Yeah,
it's like if when Paul Walker died in that Fast and the Furious, they just like,
and
he gets in a car crash, and O'Connor dies.
Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. But I think the one thing I will say to defend that scene is the reason why she's floating. She's in space and she's pulling herself with the Force.
Still.
So it's like it makes sense that she's floating. But the thing is,
It's
like
just so ridiculous.
No, yeah, I do not like that scene. I'm just saying, like, in terms of the flying argument, why can't Jedi just fly? Like, she was pulling herself in space. You know, there's zero gravity.
Last Jedi still has one of the coolest freaking shots with the Star Destroyer when it gets hit by the
shot
light.
through. Yeah. Well, Dominic Monaghan brings it up in this movie where he's like, "Why don't we use the holo maneuver and like shoot through one of the ships or something?"
Oh yeah.
But also, Dominic Monaghan's character very underutilized in this movie. Like, what the frick?
Why get him as an actor and not even use him?
Yeah, I love Dominic Monaghan, but he was like in this movie he was on screen for like 5 minutes.
That was such a crazy scene
Very
when they blasted through the ship.
Like, yeah,
at speed light. Like,
that's what we were just talking
so
about.
many people. I know.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why I'm bringing it up.
Gotcha.
So many people were so angry because it's like, why didn't they just do that to the Death Star?
Why don't they just do that?
Yeah, I mean, see, you can make this for a lot of.
Just build a droid and be like, yeah, you're gonna light speed straight into that shit.
He's like, okay.
Suicide vision. C3PO getting this freaking ship. Suicide
my chances of survival are 0.00000.1%.
But I'll do anything more for my friends.
But I'll do anything more. Yeah. Yeah.
See, that's another thing that breaks lore in that movie.
Yeah, that's crazy. The problem. Is every movie has to one up itself in some way to where it's like there's gonna be something that breaks the lore, breaks the continuity. But I guess you could make the argument to once again rationalize it in your head. You could be like, well, the Death Star is huge. Its circumference, I don't think you'd be able to shoot through. Like, I don't think it would blow it up.
You're going light speed,
but you'd go through it. But I don't know if you'd like blow it up. You know,
probably just like make a hole and
then make a giant hole and be like, all right, let's fix that hole.
Let's fix that hole that goes through the entire
with
ship.
With the Star Destroyer, it's a bit different because it's like a ship.
Yeah,
the Death Star is like a battle
planet.
station.
It's a planet.
But it still has to have like gas and stuff on it that would make it explode. They still make it explode with 2 lasers.
Well, they shoot
like,
the core. They go shoot the core.
They did retcon that though with Rogue One to make sense of all that.
That he
purposely
made
the weakness in it. Yeah, which was a super cool idea.
I did like that they added that.
Yeah. But yeah, no. What were we? I was gonna bring something up with what were we talking about right before the Dominic Monaghan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dominic Monaghan not very utilized in this. I thought that was very weird because he's a great actor. He's in it for like 5 minutes. Also, Kerry Russell. We didn't see her face. I was surprised. The girl Poe likes. I thought she was great though.
I did too.
What's her name? Zori.
Zori.
So at first I thought it was Zoe, and I'm like, that's a weird
Rose?
name for Star Wars. Zoe.
I like her costume.
Her costume's cool, yeah. I can see her becoming like a kind of a cult favorite character like Boba or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
I guarantee we'll see her in something like some sort of spin-off.
I liked the betrayal of
Hux.
Hux.
Dude, Hux is one of my favorite characters that I feel like people don't talk about enough.
Yeah, and I like the way he went out in this movie.
I don't actually.
Because, no, I thought it was cool because he hates Kylo for what he did. Now, he's Supreme Leader. And then he's like, as long as you get rid of Kylo. And then the guy figures out he just blasts.
See, I love that he was the mole, like the rat, and he betrayed the First Order. I loved all that stuff. I just don't like how he died. And like,
I thought it was cool that it was quick.
I thought it was
just like a blast.
I thought it was cool.
Because he's a human.
Too.
He's just a normal guy.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just thought it was weird that like this new guy. There always has to be like the new guy, the new like Tarkin type guy who's like, I'm the new bad general.
But he said he was in the original trilogy.
He said he was. But it's like,
I want to look back and watch.
It's like, who is he? That's the question. Is like, that's what kind of bothered me. Is like Hux for this entire trilogy has been set up as like the cool new, not cool, but like the Tarkin of this trilogy. So it's just weird to kind of have him go out the way he did in this one.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a little strange. I was okay. It was okay though. Like, I like Hux as a character. What did you guys think of the other general though? Like,
I thought he was cool.
I think
he was
okay.
cool, but he was okay.
Like, he's like a normal.
It's kind of forgettable.
Same thing.
Honestly.
I mean, he reminds me of all the generals in all the Star Wars movies. I mean, besides Tarkin, like all the generals kind of just blend together. Yeah, they're all the same.
Krennic was cool though in Rogue One because he had the white and stuff.
Still,
like
he's very similar.
Yeah,
kind of the same attitude where they're like snooty and
they're snotty, kind of old.
But then Tarkin's like freaking creepy. Like he's like a creep.
Tarkin, well, he just looks the most intimidating too. Like, oh, and they also kind of recreated the scene from A New Hope in this, where they all around the table and Kylo chokes the guy, but he threw him on the ceiling.
Yeah,
dude, that was kind of cool.
That was cool.
I liked that.
And it immediately cut away. He's like
something we were talking about that we.
I loved his new mask design too. With the lines
track of his Knights of Ren, because they were
originally supposed to be.
Well, I thought it was cool because they in this movie we were seeing them. They were following Kylo Ren around a lot. I'm like, sweet, we're gonna get some awesome Knights of Ren stuff. But then they just disappear. They disappear until the final scene with Kylo.
Kylo just kills them.
Kylo kills them in 10 seconds.
Well, it sucks because I remember in the trailer for Force Awakens, there's the scene with the Knights of Ren.
They could have a fight with Chewie. They could have had a fight to capture Chewie. Instead, the Knights of Ren just stare at Chewie. And then suddenly he's in his ship.
They show they
a lot of this could have been deleted scenes though, because that feels like they might have had that, but they had to cut it down.
That's
this was a 2.5 hour movie.
I'm excited.
I'm sure they didn't want it to be like a 3 hour.
I'm excited to see the deleted scenes for this because I hope there is some like.
I bet there's quite a
stuff.
bit. Yeah.
Because it's tough when you're making decisions on what to cut because
especially when your movie's 2.5 hours.
Yeah, because
you're Disney.
When you're already 2.5 hours long,
and Disney hates movies that are longer than like 3 hours.
Well, you run into the problem of people potentially getting bored.
That's why like Endgame is like one of the very few movies that I think is like.
I don't think Disney hates long movies. I think it's just a matter of studios don't like too long of movies because you run the risk of people getting bored, and so you have to cut certain things, and that it kind of sucks when it's like stuff that would help the movie.
There's certain movie films that I feel like they shouldn't be worried about though. And
I agree.
Star Wars is one of them.
It's like
Avengers is one of them.
Yeah, totally.
Lord of the Rings is one of them. Harry Potter is one of them.
They can make movies 5 hours long and people would not care.
For real, if they announced the next Star Wars movie was 5 hours long, it'd be cool.
Even King Kong. King Kong, remember the Peter Jackson King Kong? Like
3 hours long.
Fine. That was good.
Yeah, it makes sense for certain movies. Like, you have to have...
Now, if you go into, like, I don't know, like Tooth Fairy.
Dwayne
Johnson is 3.5
hours.
That's a
problem.
100%. That's a great point. Yeah, certain movies, it's like...
Or like, when we went to go see Addams Family... Adam's Family is an hour and 45 minutes. It felt like it was the longest movie of my life. And I'm like, if this movie was 3 hours, I would leave. I would leave an hour and a half in. Because it was so long being an hour and 45 minutes.
This would be an interesting discussion to have because, like, who put the, arbitrary rule that movies have to be around 2 hours? Like, it's weird because if you go back to, like, the 30s and stuff, Gone with the Wind is almost 4 hours long. And over time, movies have become shorter and shorter. If you look back on history, to where movies, I'm worried one day, like in
30 minutes,
movies are going to be like an hour long.
Or they'll be like a YouTube video.
And the reason why is
10 minutes. 10:01, so we can get good advertising.
There's a lot of studies that show it's because people's attention spans have become shorter, especially with like cell phones and stuff now. To where people like
multitask, and so doing one. I've noticed that. Like, try to go play video games where you're playing like Call of Duty without listening to videos, watching YouTube or anything.
It's
just playing
multiplayer with it now.
Yeah, for certain games like that. Yeah,
especially if you're like not talking to anybody. Like when we're in parties, it's fine. I can do that.
Yeah, and so that's the thing.
But when you're alone, you're like.
I wish there was people would realize though, like certain movies, it's okay to be longer. Like, People
I
are
would
going
have loved
like
if
this.
Avengers Endgame was literally 5 or 6 hours long.
I would have watched it, and I would have been.
And they just have like
yes!
and they
Yeah.
just have like tons of random scenes. I'd be like, fuck.
yeah, for sure.
It's Avengers.
I've been waiting 10 years for this. And in the Star Wars case, people have been waiting for
It's
how
like,
long?
it's the
Oh, yeah,
end of
40,
the Skywalker.
40, 50
it's
years.
the end
Yeah.
of the Skywalker. Like, just make it 6 hours long.
Yeah,
Make every single character get an ending.
yeah, maybe not 6 hours, but I would. This movie definitely could have used. I would have taken another 10 minutes, like you said.
Yeah.
I think it would have been good.
Or 20, 10 or
I'd
20.
say like 30. Make it 3 hours.
Yeah,
I think it's 2 hours and 23 minutes is like the runtime.
I know we're missing some stuff. Is there any other things you guys can think of that were like big moments in this?
Not big moments.
I think I said everything I wanted to say. I
Me
think.
too.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see it again. Like,
There's
I'm-
so
I'm
much
thinking about it,
I
like,
wanted
oh,
to say that
so
I can't
awesome.
remember now. That like there was so much that happened that I can't even think. Oh, I wanted to ask about Lando. What did you guys think of Lando in this?
It's Lando.
I mean, it's Lando.
We just saw him a few years ago.
He seemed
Yeah,
kind
so-
of creepy to me.
yeah.
When he's like,
I mean-
give Leia my love.
We'll find out who your father is.
Well, no, and he's like, how's the general doing? And he's like, give her my love for me.
I mean, that's kind of Lando.
Why don't
though.
you?
Like Lando?
No,
is
she said
kind of
that.
a
She's
player.
like, you give him your love. You give her your love. In the first,
We
I don't
did-
know.
we
something
didn't
like
get
that.
that. It is like
Probably a
it's
deleted scene.
kind of interesting seeing some of these older actors come back and revisit.
And
a
then
role.
they're not as good.
No, because I mean, I thought he did good, but it was just like he's older. Like plain and simply, it's hard to be
I
like.
like that his lines where he's like, Ray's like, how did you guys do it? And he's like, me, Han, and Luke,
Yeah.
and like you were not a part of.
No,
that.
he was
for one movie,
2 movies. He was in Empire
but
Strikes
he
Back.
wasn't like he didn't do like until they had to break the second Death Star.
I disagree. I think you have to watch him again because he helps totally for the end of Empire Strikes Back. He helps for all of Return of the Jedi. Like he's even there on Jabba's palace. Remember, he's like in the uniform, like pretending to be like he's there.
That's right.
I think the biggest thing for me that I thought was kind of weird with Lando is that he's in his Solo outfit towards the end, like his outfit he's wearing in Solo, and I'm like, dude, you're old and bigger now. Like, why are you?
You
wearing...
do not fit into
You
that.
do not-
It
you do
does not
fit-
look good.
You do not fit in that like you used to, my friend.
No.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, Billy Dee Williams is great. I love him, but
It looked weird.
It looked weird on him. I liked his first outfit made more sense. Which another thing, it was a little convenient that they found him on that random sand planet. Like why,
He's just there.
Why was he there?
Well, no, didn't they ask him? One of them said, "What are you doing here?"
We have to. This is the thing.
We have to rewatch it because
the-
I know for a
guarantee-
fact it was like. Was
Guarantee
like, what are
there's-
you doing?
Yeah, guarantee there's some sort of throwaway line where he's like,
Oh, no,
I'm
he
sure
went
this-
there with Luke. Remember?
Oh yeah, that's
He went
right.
there with Luke and he never left.
And he
Was that it?
stayed at Luke. Yeah, he stayed there because he was looking for the thing.
Mm-hmm.
What the
Because
frick?
then he told them about the Jedi killer and everything.
That was another thing that watching this movie I was a little confused about until more so at the end was the triangle cube thing.
It's like a compass.
It's like a compass or map type thing. I didn't understand that at all until Ray
Oh, really?
plugged it
It's
in.
just
at
a
the
McDuffie.
end.
I knew that because as soon as Kylo got it, and he's like
Yeah,
looking at it's following
it was
the red dot,
navigating,
and he's
yeah.
going to.
Well, and I saw. Yeah, we must have caught on immediately. Like as soon as he grabs it, he
It must
plugs
have been
in.
one of those scenes where I just like my eyes glossed over for a second and I didn't realize what was happening.
You
know?
must have.
Like
Because even when Kylo had it in his ship, he had it like hooked up, like with cords to like the navigation system, and he was looking at it like and then like following.
yeah, the scene that hit it home for me was when Ray was using it towards the end. She was sending the signal back to the rebels. I was like, oh okay, it's like a map. That makes sense. Yeah, the Sith homeworld was freaking dope though. I really liked that.
Yeah.
There's so many ships there. I don't
That's
know how.
insane.
That was insane.
But they're so big. That's why they lost because there's so many little ships. Like
I thought that was a cool moment too when all of the other ships came to help out. I wish that wasn't spoiled in the trailers also.
I wish it would have
Suddenly,
showed
those ships became so easy to take down. Though.
When
Yeah.
I
It
wish
was like, pew, 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 oh, boom! The whole thing just
Yeah.
explodes. Like,
when I wish that when all the friends came, it would have showed who a couple of them were.
they did.
Like,
Yeah.
Because all it did was like, oh, Lando's here.
Well, because people in
And
the trailer,
Han's
once again, they
friend.
spoiled this for the trailer, I wish they didn't, but people analyzed the trailer, and apparently there's like the Star Wars Rebels or Resistant, one of the show's ships is in there,
Really?
and stuff like that. And there was rumors that like Ahsoka was supposed to be in one of them. Like, did you guys hear about those?
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so like it would have been kind of cool if we got.
That
to
might have
see
been all
in a
deleted
couple
scenes
of
once
them.
again.
Maybe,
Like we think
yeah.
this was a long movie. Like what I mean is like I didn't feel like it was long, but it's a 2.5
For general
hour movie.
audiences, yeah.
I
mean,
think they
yeah.
might have cut a lot of it out.
Yeah, what I thought was going to happen is when Palpatine did the awesome lightning shock to the sky, I thought Rey was going to do it back.
That's
and
what I
turn
thought
them
too.
back on.
That's weird that you thought that. I thought she was
because
going to do it
I was
too.
like, she has the lightning power too, so I was like, she's going to do it and turn them back on or something. I thought that would have been cool.
Or I thought she was going to do it to him. Like,
Yeah, and I gotta say also that I loved the way they had all of the voices come back while she's looking up at the stars. And ultimately, looking back on it, I think it was the right way to do it that way and not have them come as Force ghosts. Because I think that could have been cheesy.
A little cheesy. With all of them, like, just standing around her.
Ah!
Yeah! And she's, like, killing.
Yeah, or like charging in, like, ah! Yeah, it would have been, like...
Even though...
It was a little strange. Not strange. Like, I liked it. It was cool, like, the chanting and stuff. But, like, who were all the people in the hoods? Like,
the Sith
there was
followers.
tons. Like, yeah, there was so many, though.
Yeah.
Like, there was
I
literally
think it was just...
hundreds.
It was just the
I think it was
cultists.
all the Siths.
Yeah, like, all sitting there.
Well,
like,
remember, when
it's kind of like a
chanting.
ghost.
When Kylo
Yeah,
first
like,
went in
It's
there,
their,
remember...
it's their version of
True,
the Sith.
true.
Like,
When Kylo first
just
went
like
in there...
the Jedi have their... Like the...
Yeah, Octo.
Coruscant and crap.
Yeah.
When Kylo first went in there, they were like working on the Snoke clone, and they were like building the ships.
Mm-hmm.
They were like building the ships, so they're the ones who have built that whole fleet.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I guess I was just a little confused.
They're probably
who
just
they
like
were
workers
first.
that believe in the Sith, and they're there. Yeah, I mean it's the Sith home planet. It's like a religion. It's just like the Jedi.
Yeah, true. Yeah, man, there's so much that happened in this movie. I ultimately liked it. I think it was safe, but I'm fine with that personally. But
I was actually surprised at the end that they had Rey have a lightsaber. I
Her
thought she
own
was
lightsaber? That
I thought
was
she
I
was
kind of
putting-
want that lightsaber. I like the
It
switch.
was cool.
It has a different switch too, because instead of like a up and down, it's just like sideways.
and the hilt was like black.
Yeah, it does look cool.
Yeah, I wish it was a double one. It would make
I
more
think
sense with her
it looked like a
character.
big hilt, and there was like the other bottom half of it was cut off. We couldn't even see what was on the bottom. It might have been a double one.
I'm
You
so
don't know.
excited to go to Disneyland and build my own lightsaber.
All right.
Yeah, that would be sick. We gotta have a Disneyland topic soon because we still haven't done that. But
Yeah, because I thought she was gonna put away the two lightsabers and then the Jedi were done. Didn't you think that too? Like as she was putting away the lightsabers.
Oh no, and see,
I
yeah,
thought she was
that
putting
was
it into
another-
the wall to be like,
I
okay,
agree.
lightsaber, like the Jedi are done.
Yeah, I
Sith are
thought
done.
that was another thing I was a little confused about too, where I was like, the whole thing was, the last movie was literally called The Last Jedi. Like it kind of seemed like it was
She is
supposed
still the Last Jedi.
She is, yeah, if that's in reference to it. But yeah, I thought it was a little strange because I was like, they've talked about like ending the Jedi and then not ending the Jedi, and then in Last Jedi, there's literally a scene Yoda helps blow up the freaking tree and light it on fire with all the Jedi texts and stuff, and Luke literally says to him, "Say like, so it is time," and Yoda's like, "Time it is," or whatever for like the idea of like the Jedi ending, but then they kind of just
It could have been that she was ending it and that she just kept a lightsaber for herself.
just to be cool,
to fight or
She's
like
this
yeah.
this thing's
Or 'cause
dope.
she
Well,
needs
I
a
mean,
weapon.
she is a Jedi still.
Yeah,
She still is.
She's
Yeah,
not
so-
hiding anymore because there's no Sith.
Because I don't
Like,
think
she's
she'll
just a
train any
Jedi.
new ones like Luke tried to do, because that ended up being bad for him. Because then some of those Jedis that he was training...
We'll never
turned
know,
into
I
Sith.
guess.
yeah, that is something that we didn't get full.
We might
answers
know. I
to.
mean, you give it 10 years, 20 years.
Yeah, maybe
There's just
there'll be a
like,
spin-off.
yeah, there's gonna be more.
Yeah,
Rey, you guys remember her? She's back.
yeah.
It's Star Wars.
It's
you know how
cool.
much money, they're not going to not make them.
I remember when they announced the title, The Rise of Skywalker. It kind of surprised me as a title, but I think it fits for this movie very well.
What's the
Especially,
rise of Kylo?
it's the well.
That's
you
what
can
I thought
interpret
it
it
was
as
gonna be. I
that,
was like, it's gonna be Kylo.
Or that
or
Rey's a Skywalker.
Rey is
Yeah.
calls herself.
She's
Skywalker
rising
now.
as a Skywalker, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, are people going to call her Rey Skywalker now? I guess.
I was hoping she was going to say Solo. Because when I first saw the silhouettes, I thought it was Han and Leia. I thought she was going to say
Oh, man,
Rey
if-
Solo.
Dude, yeah, I really.
I didn't
wish
even
it
like
was.
Rey Solo, like Rey Skywalker. I was like,
Yeah, it's okay. Like, I kind of wish.
I kind of
that-
wish she just stayed as Rey.
Yeah, just Rey.
I'm Rey.
Yeah, I think that would have been cool too. Or I think, man, if they had Han at the end there, I
Or
wish
Rey
they did.
Palpatine. She accepts it. Like she's don't be afraid
Yeah,
to
I'm
accept
just Rey
who you are.
Palpatine.
Yeah, that's
Rey
true.
Palpatine.
And then she looked over
I
and
mean,
Palpatine's
Grant-
ghost is like...
granted, it would be a little weird because it's like she's like, my
After
name's
the
Rey
whole movie.
Hitler. it's like maybe that's
What's
not
your
the
name?
best. Just accept your
Ray
name.
Palpatine. Wasn't that the
Wasn't
that the to kill everybody?
It's like
Wasn't that the extreme terrorist?
genocide.
Wasn't that like the extremist
Just-
terrorist?
and she's
that
just like,
mass genocide.
I'm just owning it though.
He's my granddaughter.
I was told to accept who I am.
Yeah, it's like maybe don't accept that one. Yeah, I guess that it makes sense she didn't do that, but I think Rey Solo would have been cool because then that also would have been a tribute to Kylo. That would have been
It would've.
the extra tribute to Kylo. Like I'm Rey Solo, you know. Yeah, I don't know, but I think it was fine with Skywalker. I mean, it makes sense. The rise of Skywalker. Then you can interpret it that way.
I think that's why they had her say Skywalker because of the title.
Yeah, for sure. Any other closing thoughts?
No.
I have so much more I still want to talk about, but I just can't even think right now because it's so late.
And I'm so
I think I
tired,
already-
and
I
we're
think I
like
said-
3 hours in.
Yeah.
This review's gonna be longer than the movie.
For real. Anyway, though, let us know what you guys
That's
thought. Let us know what
Just
you
go
guys
watch the
thought.
movie. Don't watch our episode.
Let us know what you guys thought of The Rise of Skywalker. Give us your thoughts in the comments and whatnot. You can listen to us on all your favorite podcast services, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that jazz, YouTube. And we thank you guys for listening. May the Force be with you. Always.
Bye.